Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? Your boy Russ, a.k.a. the hoodies for my hands, a.k.a. the YouTube editor, a.k.a. it takes a lot of time, so you better watch those videos.
It does take a lot of time.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that 1 minute video took me so long one day.
You're learning a whole new skill, so you're doing a great job. You're doing great. Everyone agrees.
Nah, someone out here wants to do it for me. That's what I see in my future.
Yeah, you're gonna start delegating the tasks.
What bosses do.
It's true.
So anyway, did you see that Keefe D is on trial for Tupac's murder?
I did.
And people might ask, who is Keefe D and why is he on trial for Tupac's murder? You may ask.
I may ask.
This dumbass wrote a book.
He did write a book.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Corn of the day.
Did he plead not guilty?
Yeah, well, he's on trial for the murder. He admits that he was part of what was going on and like stuff like that. He said he didn't actually pull the trigger. He
didn't, right? He was like the driver.
And he's something like that, but he definitely was part of it. And he knows you'd go to jail for that.
Yeah.
And he said they did it because they were in a fight with Tupac's crew and him inside the casino.
Yeah, the casino.
There's footage of that.
Tupac beat up his cousin or something.
Something like that.
It was a beef with his cousin. But yeah, he wrote a book.
Yeah.
He's like,
and then he basically went on a podcast on YouTube, Vlad TV.
Yeah.
And like pretty much said the same thing, like just telling on himself. It almost seemed like he wanted to go down for it.
When he was on the interview?
Yeah, he's basically saying he did it.
Yeah, it's like so weird. I don't understand why he's going to trial, but that's...
I don't know why he's pleaded not guilty.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But yeah, I did see that that's going on. Definitely interesting and stupid. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, a couple years ago, we covered...
He should write a book called How to Go to Jail for Dummies.
True.
That would be a good book for him. His next book when he's in jail.
Yeah.
Good idea for you.
So a couple years ago, we covered the case of Tiffany Vellante. I was communicating with her cousin, Danielle. She's a listener, and she reached out to me. Do you remember this at all?
A little bit.
So she was hit by a Amtrak train. And according to the police, they ruled it a suicide. But according to Tiffany's family, they believe foul play was involved. And it was actually, her case was actually the first episode of Unsolved Mysteries when the new Unsolved Mysteries came out on Netflix.
Okay.
Is this ringing a bell?
A little bit.
So, Tiffany's cousin Danielle reached out to me. We've kind of communicated over the last couple years about the case. She's kept me updated about all the things that have been happening with it because her family is still fighting hard for justice for her. Danielle reached out to me a few months ago and told me there was a podcast coming out about the case.
She's making it?
No. So there's a reporter who got really close with the family and has been investigating this crime for the last, I don't know how many months or a year or so, and has created a series that's a podcast coming out, and it's called Cruel Summer. I definitely want you guys to check it out. I'm going to do a feed drop on our feed of the trailer because they just released the trailer for it. And I'm going to do a feed drop on our feed. And I definitely want you guys to check it out. I'm super interested to hear what this reporter has uncovered. Apparently, she has linked a lot of things.
Oh, wow. And
it could really catapult this case and get a lot of attention on this case, which I think it absolutely deserves. Go back and listen to our episode if you want to familiarize yourself with the case again, or watch Unsolved Mysteries, the first episode of Unsolved Mysteries. But they'll be releasing episodes soon, so I'm super interested to hear this.
Yeah, but just to get refreshed on it, you go listen to ours.
Yeah, to get refreshed, go listen to ours. Then watch Unsolved Mysteries. Then listen to the series podcast, and let's talk about this case and get justice for Tiffany.
I'm kind of curious. Like, I don't remember. Was it left like kind of open ended? Like no one was really sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why the family believes foul play was involved. Like a lot of reasons. So
I got to go back and listen.
Yeah, you got to refresh your memory. So you got to go listen for sure. Do you have a review of the week, Russ?
That I do.
You do?
I do.
So I guess the YouTube comments are not popping.
It wasn't as funny.
So
or clever. No, it was all right.
No one can beat Gay Shirt.
Nah, Gay Shirt's still the reigning champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said nice shirt and stuff, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Someone said straight shirt.
Straight shirt.
But Gay Shirt won.
Yeah.
And no one has beat it.
Maybe I need to get a t-shirt made that just says Gay Shirt that like I wear during the episode. That'll be funny.
That would be funny.
Or I shouldn't have said anything and just did it.
That would have been even better.
Yeah.
For sure.
Dumbass. All right. So this one is from Cozy Kai. It says, Russ is ignorant. This is long but trust. 5 stars. As an older Gen Z in my mid-20s, I really think leaving reviews are for old people, but this podcast is so good. Apparently, here I am. Jess is genuinely one of the best storytellers in true crime podcasts, and I listen to a lot. Some might even say the best.
Oh.
You can feel her passion, not only for true crime, but also for writing in each episode. And Russ, well, he's there. Russ gets lost a lot, talks a lot, makes a lot of jokes, but like, same. So I can't complain. Russ is genuinely a great buffer for the crazy crimes Jess tells us about, and really do love their chemistry. He is ignorant, though, because what do you mean Roe v. Wade? You gotta listen for that inside joke. Anyways, hashtag vote for Russ. Vote for Jess, because she might take better care of us.
Aww.
So that was a good one, Kai.
Yes.
Cheers to you.
I think I would definitely take better care of the listeners.
Well, if you vote for Russ, he's for us. And what could you do better than that?
Although, I will say, I recorded a secret video last night of Russ. He doesn't even know about this.
Oh, boy.
Maybe I'll put a clip or a picture of it. But
what was I doing?
So our dog, Lucy, she's older. And her hips are very weak now because she's 14. Lucy is 14. She's the perfect dog. We don't talk about her as much on the podcast because she's so perfect. There's literally, she doesn't do anything wrong. She's the best dog that ever lived.
Just chill.
Besides Biggie. And she's just perfect. But her hips are super weak, so Russ ordered her these little rubber things that go on her nails to keep her feet steady so that she doesn't slip on the hardwood.
Yeah, her back feet always slide out. It makes it harder for her to walk.
It makes it harder
for her to
walk.
So I was like, oh, these little rubber things for her nails might help her get better grip.
Yes. So he ended up ordering the sparkly ones. And
I thought I ordered clear, I swear.
They're so cute, but they're like sparkly. And you have to use press-on nail glue to get it on. So yesterday he rolled over to her and he had the nail glue and the little rubber things, and he was like, oh, Lucy, we're gonna put these little things on your nails. It was really sweet, and he was gluing them each individually and putting them on her nails, and it was the sweetest thing. It made me feel like such a girl dad moment.
Okay.
It was really sweet. It was so sweet. So I will post a little clip.
Oh boy. Maybe just for Patreon.
Maybe just it has to be behind a paywall. Nah. I can't post it here.
Where's here?
On the regular
in the world?
video, yes.
Oh, not on YouTube.
Then everyone will see how sweet you actually
Maybe
can be.
Maybe go to Instagram, you catch a little clip.
Everyone will see how sweet Russ can be. Well, in the Patreon, speaking of Patreon, we picked our new book. Super excited. We have such overachievers in this Patreon. Already people are done. Like, guys, we don't have our meeting till October. They're already done.
How do they remember the book all the way in October?
I don't know. They're very
smart.
Talented. We have smart patrons, for sure.
What they doing with me?
I don't know.
Well, maybe it's like how I like to watch like bum fights. Like I'm their bum fights.
That's true. You love watching stupid viral videos of idiots. Shit. And so you are their idiot.
Yeah, I'm their Carl.
You are their Carl. Someone wrote a review about that.
I saw that. Russ is Carl.
Yeah, like clicked in their brain.
Like, that's who he is.
So true.
AKA the New York Call.
The New York Carl. And he doesn't say Carl, he says call. We've gone over this. So on Patreon, we are going to be reading the book, The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell.
Oh, I can't go there.
You could
I'm gonna have to sit this one out, folks, literally.
Stop. Russ has said he's going to wait until 2 weeks before the meeting to read it. It takes you way more than 2 weeks to listen to a full audiobook. It literally takes you like a month and a half to listen to an audiobook. So you got to start earlier than 2 weeks.
I always have to listen to the beginning like a lot, many times to like remember it and like care. Like, I just keep forgetting what the beginning was about. So I'll listen to, like, the first 10 minutes, like, so many times, start it, and then forget, and have to restart.
Yeah, I get it.
And then finally, I'm like, all right, I know what's going on in this book.
Well, one thing you'll love is that it's narrated by a British woman. And Russ loves British accents. He thinks they're so hot. Just so all of our British listeners know, he'll think your accent is very hot.
Yeah, so like it gives you like a +1 or 2 on the scale, you know? So if you like a 7, you could be like an 8 or a 9 just because of the accent.
Just because of a British accent.
That's right.
He has a big crush on Mary Poppins.
It's not a big crush.
Yes,
Get out. Back then, I didn't even know what a woman was. Plus, she had a boy's haircut.
Mary Poppins didn't. She had her bun. No.
Oh, I was thinking of...
you're thinking of when she was in The Sound of
Fräulein
Music.
Maria.
Yeah. You still liked Fräulein Maria.
No, I never did. I always thought she looked like Peter Pan.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you liked her in Mary Poppins.
You know, she was a pretty lady, but that haircut...
ruined it for you?
I don't know who could pull that off. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Well...
Not even me. It ain't even good for men.
Well, anyway, you have the patron shout-out.
Oh, yeah. We do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, folks. We do the Patreon shout-outs. We got like a shit ton of bonus episodes there. No commercials. And some merch and stuff.
And all the stuff.
Yeah, like cups or something. And buttons. So anyway, this week's joiners are Kate, Steph, Shauna, Sydney, Girly Pop Pal, Michelle, Ella. I had Adela.
Ella,
Alexandra, Tiffany, Taylor, Cheyenne, America, Jen, Paige, Victoria, Natalie, Heather, Shannon, Gina, Janie, Amanda, Val, Mady, Luda, Meg, I'm getting out of breath, folks. Thank you, though. Caroline, Frida, Tara, Lauren, Lori, Ann, and Tiffany.
Wow.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
If any more people joined, I might have got an asthma attack.
It was a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This episode is very complex, okay? The trial for Lindsay Clancy is happening right now. And honestly, it's taken over my life.
So the reel, it went crazy?
I have been glued to not only my computer watching the trial, but also everyone's commentary and listening to tons of podcasts about it and just really like obsessing about this trial. It's so important to me not even just as a healthcare professional, as a woman. There are so many reasons that this case in particular is really important. But even more importantly than that, this case has created so many different important conversations that need to happen. And I'm going to try to highlight them all in this one episode.
And very unexpectedly, I'm going to be having a conversation on this topic. If anyone had to guess, is Russ going to talk about this in his life? I doubt it.
Yeah. Well, Russ has seen some things about this case, but you don't really know the details of this case. You just kind of know the overview of what's happening.
I think, like, if I had to guess, because once I saw you did the reel and it got, like, crazy, then I was kind of curious, but I kept not watching the reels of it because I knew you were going to tell me.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, the leaked stuff, she killed her children. And then some people are blaming it on the dad. And some people are saying she did it, but she had mental health problems that should have been addressed.
Yes. Pretty decent overview. Yeah.
Wordsmith, folks.
I feel like there's a general amount of knowledge around this case. Like, if you don't know much about true crime or this crime at all, that's probably what you know, just based off of scrolling through social media.
Yeah.
So I have written and then rewritten my script about 4 times, okay? Because since the trial is happening right now, I keep adding things and adding things. So this was very difficult for me to write, just to try to include as much information as I can. And simultaneously, I've been asked to cover this since it happened. Like, literally since 2023, I feel like I've been getting messages. I feel like we've gotten, at this point, at least 100, maybe hundreds of messages asking me to cover this, because there is a whole medical element to it.
So she does see them, folks. Nag her like she nags me.
Yeah, I do see them. But for a while, I stayed away because we don't like to cover a lot of cases about children getting murdered, right? So I did stay away from it. But now it's gotten so big and there's so many lessons to be learned here. I felt like I had to do it because, I like to educate people.
Boy, you do, even when you're not podcasting.
That's true.
I know a lot from Jess.
So this case was very hard for me to write just because I'm trying to include as much as I can. But I really hope you guys learned something. I have a lot of strong feelings about this case. So if you see me get red, if I raise my voice, just know when I get really aggressive, sometimes I don't know if Russ even realizes this yet after almost 17 years of being together.
Oh, I've seen you aggressive.
I know, but you don't know what I'm about to say. I don't think he understands.
Flinch when you raise your hand for no reason.
I don't think he understands that my aggressiveness a lot of times is because I'm passionate about something. When I get passionate, I get very aggressive. So if I come off aggressive, just know it's because I'm passionate about this. Here we go. So there is something that I think has happened to us as true crime has gotten bigger and bigger. And I don't just mean people who listen to true crime. I mean us, too. Because obviously we make a true crime podcast. Somewhere along the way, I think we've gotten so used to consuming these cases as entertainment that we've started expecting them to behave like entertainment. We expect a twist. We expect there to be something everybody else missed. We watch a 911 call and analyze someone's voice. We freeze frame surveillance footage. We compare pictures. We hear somebody say 5:15 in one interview and 5:20 in another. And suddenly we're like, wait a minute. Why did that change? What aren't they telling us? And listen, I don't think asking questions is a bad thing. You guys know that. We've covered many wrongful convictions. They are some of my favorite cases to talk about. We've covered cases where police absolutely got shit wrong. There are cases where journalists, family members, and even random people on the internet notice something important that everybody else missed, right? Like, don't fuck with cats. So I'm never going to tell people to stop asking questions. But there is a big difference between asking a question and deciding that you already know the answer. And I think we're starting to lose that distinction. Because now we have TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Reddit where somebody posts a theory and then somebody repeats it. A third person adds something to it. And before you know it, something that started as, does anybody else think this is weird? Becomes, this is what really happened. And nobody stops along the way to ask, how do we actually know that?
Clicks get money, man.
I've been thinking about this a lot while watching the trial we're talking about today, because there is a real trial happening right now. There are witnesses under oath. There are medical records. There are surveillance videos. There are phone records. There's physical evidence. Doctors and forensic experts are being questioned and cross-examined. There is an entire courtroom full of people whose job it is to determine what the evidence actually proves. And at the same exact time, there is basically a completely different trial happening on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. And in that trial, people have decided maybe the husband did it. Maybe he killed his 3 children. Maybe he tried to kill his wife. Maybe he framed her. Maybe he secretly came home during his errands. Maybe his shoes prove it. Maybe an IP address proves it. Maybe DNA proves it. Maybe her body temperature proves it. Maybe an injury proves it. Maybe the mysterious male voice she later described wasn't a hallucination at all.
Maybe.
God. Some of it has gotten wild, like out of control and wild.
You gotta ignore people on the internet most of the time.
No. It's getting crazy, Russ.
I ignore it.
But what really bothers me isn't even that people have theories. Okay? That's not what bothers me. It's how quickly speculation becomes fact when enough people repeat it. And how easily we forget what we're actually talking about. Because this isn't a Netflix series. There aren't writers planting clues for us. 3 little children are dead. Cora Clancy was 5 years old. Dawson Clancy was 3. And Callan Clancy was 8 months old. Their father came home on January 24th, 2023, and found his entire family destroyed. And their mother, Lindsay Clancy, is now on trial for killing all 3 of them. There is also something really important that I want everyone to understand from the beginning. This trial is not about whether Lindsay killed her children. Her defense isn't saying somebody broke in the house. They're not saying police arrested the wrong woman. They're not saying Patrick actually killed them. Lindsay killed Cora, Dawson, and Callan. The question the jury is being asked to answer is so much more complicated. Was Lindsay criminally responsible for what she did? The prosecution says yes. They say Lindsay was mentally ill and struggling, but she still understood exactly what she was doing when she killed her children and then tried to take her own life. But the defense says no. They say Lindsay had become so mentally ill that she lost touch with reality. She was experiencing psychosis, including a voice telling her to kill the children and herself. And that's why this case is so difficult. Because the same facts are being looked at completely different ways. And then outside the courtroom, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit, people have somehow created a third version of the story where Patrick secretly murdered everybody and framed Lindsay.
That sounds crazy.
It's like a whole other trial is happening simultaneously.
Might be worth looking into.
Before we get anywhere near that, I want you to know exactly what happened. This is the controversial case of Lindsay Clancy. Are you ready?
Yes.
Before Lindsay Clancy became one of the most talked about defendants in the country, she was a wife, a labor and delivery nurse, and a mother of 3 living with her husband Patrick in Duxbury, Massachusetts. By almost every account, Lindsay was extremely devoted to her children. Patrick actually described her as almost over-dedicated to motherhood, saying she worked twice as hard as most people and rarely gave herself a break. Everyone in Lindsay's life so far that has testified, been interviewed, everyone agrees that she was a great mother. Cora was born in 2017, Dawson in 2019, and their youngest, Callan, was born in May of 2022. After Callan was born, Lindsay initially seemed like she was doing well. She was happy, energetic, and excited about the baby. Her and Patrick were still running 5Ks together that summer. Now, there's an entire psychiatric history that we're going to come back to, because by late summer and fall, Lindsay had started struggling pretty badly with anxiety, depression, and sleep. And she was seeking treatment. But I don't want to start there, because I think you need to understand the crime before all of the medical information comes into play, because it won't mean anything.
Exactly. I've been very anxious to hear, you better tell me what happened.
So let's go to January 24th, 2023. So Patrick worked from home, and his office was actually in the basement of their house. And I want you to remember that, because the basement becomes very important. Okay. So that afternoon, Lindsay asked Patrick to go out and get a couple things. Cora needed medicine from CVS, and they also needed dinner. So Lindsay called a takeout place that they've frequented before and told Patrick, hey, I didn't cook dinner. I'm ordering food. Can you go pick up the food? And also, can you get medicine for Cora from CVS? The prosecution believes Lindsay asked Patrick to leave, and it was deliberate, that she was creating an opportunity to be alone with the children. So
because he worked from home.
Yes. So Patrick left the house and went to CVS. He communicated with Lindsay while he was there about the medication, asking her a question about the medication, and then went to pick up their food. Investigators would later verify his movements using surveillance footage and text messages and other records.
Well, so there's nothing beats surveillance footage.
While Patrick was gone, Lindsay was home alone with the 3 kids. At some point during that window of time, all 3 children ended up in the basement, where Lindsay strangled them using exercise bands.
What?
I'm not going to get graphic about what happened to these kids, because I don't think we need to, because Cora, Dawson, and Callan were such little babies.
Yeah.
After her children were unresponsive, Lindsay turned her attention to herself. And evidence presented in the case says that she crushed up her prescription medication, mixed it into lemonade, drank it. She cut her wrists and her neck with a knife, went up to her bedroom, and jumped out her second-story window. The fall was so catastrophic that Lindsay landed outside the house and suffered a spinal cord injury and other traumatic injuries that would eventually leave her paralyzed.
You're paraplegic?
She is a paraplegic. Meanwhile, Patrick was still out getting dinner. When he returned home, he said the house was eerily quiet. And that's, with 3 small children under the age of 5, to come home to a quiet house is rare and weird.
Oh, I know. I used to play video games with Lou. Chicken Parm King. His kids on the mic back in the day.
So Patrick comes in. His house is super quiet. He immediately finds it weird, and he starts looking for Lindsay. He eventually went outside, and he found her laying on the ground beneath the window. She was alive, but badly injured. And Patrick asked her, what happened? And Lindsay told him that she tried to kill herself. Then he asked where the kids were. And Lindsay told him they're in the basement. Patrick called 911 while talking to Lindsay and then ran downstairs. Patrick walks into the same basement where he worked every day and finds all 3 of his children strangled with exercise bands wrapped around their necks. He started trying to save them by taking the bands off, and he's screaming. He's talking to the dispatcher and trying to figure out what to do. The 911 call itself has been played during the trial.
Oh.
But it's not publicly released. It's been...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so media is not allowed to play the 911 call. It cannot be played in the media at all.
Is that the type of thing that would be released after the trial?
It might be released after the trial, yeah. But
well, I guess anything could be sold for the right price in this world, so...
As of now, I haven't heard it. Most people haven't heard it. The only people who have heard it were the people in the courtroom that day when it was played. Patrick left the courtroom while it was being played, and reporters described an extremely emotional reaction inside the courtroom. Jurors, reporters, family members all cried listening to this phone call.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing a man finding his wife almost dead and his children all dead. You're hearing him find them strangled in the moment. It's not like he's calling 911 after he found them. He's finding it all out on the call.
Oh, shit.
So it's incredibly emotional.
So he just has them on the line with him while he's just going through it.
Yeah.
Oof. And that call's out. Oh, wait, that call's not out there.
No, it's sealed right now.
Tell you the truth, I'm not the type of person that wants to listen to that.
No, I don't want to hear it either.
I mean, a lot of people in the true crime world do, but I'm not that guy.
Yeah. Cora and Dawson died that night. Callan initially survived. He's the 8-month-old baby.
Oh, shit.
He initially survived. When EMS arrived on the scene, he had a faint pulse. They didn't lose a pulse until he was in the ambulance being transported to the ER. And they coded him from the ambulance into the ER. Doctors continued trying to save him, but the lack of oxygen had caused catastrophic damage to his brain. And 3 days later, on January 27th, Callan died too.
Oh, little baby.
Medical testimony during the current trial described the findings in all 3 children that were consistent with strangulation and lack of oxygen. So within a matter of days, this family was destroyed. 3 children were dead. Patrick had lost every one of his kids, and Lindsay herself was barely alive.
No matter whether she did it or not, they're both of their lives are like destroyed, no matter who did it.
Yeah.
I mean, from what it sounds like so far, are 1,000,000%, but you know, I'm never there, so
yeah,
obviously.
When Lindsay arrived at South Shore Hospital, her core body temperature was only 82.1 degrees Fahrenheit, which is shocking.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yes, it is life-threatening hypothermia. She also had dangerously low blood pressure, and the fall was so catastrophic. She had a T6 spinal cord injury. Her spinal cord was completely severed. Okay. She also had pelvic fractures, rib fractures. Both lungs were filled with blood, which is called hemothorax.
I know.
Yes, you had a hemothorax. The medical team had to aggressively warm her while also dealing with everything else that was happening inside of her body. Later testimony also established that they initiated something called a mass transfusion protocol when she got to the ER. And that protocol that we initiate happens when we need to get blood into a person as fast as possible. So
everyone drop what you're doing and get there now?
Yeah, so we coordinate it with the blood bank because we need blood to get to us in the ER as fast as they can. We give the patient blood, plasma, and platelets as soon as they arrive because they've lost so much blood.
That's probably what happened to me.
It could have been. I don't know if they initiated a mass transfusion for you, but you did have a lot of blood loss, so it is possible. Yeah.
I guess it was all internal, though, right?
Yeah, yours were all internal. Yeah.
Crazy.
So she had chest tubes placed on both sides of her chest, draining her lungs. You had a chest tube on one side of your chest. And then after that, she was transferred to Brigham and Women's. And while she was at that hospital, she actually coded. Her heart stopped, and the medical team revived her. They did CPR, they resuscitated her, and she came back to life.
Every time they resuscitate you, do they always use the shockers, or is it sometimes
they don't always? Pump? No, sometimes it's just CPR. Sometimes it's CPR with a medication called epinephrine.
How often do you got to take it past chest pumps?
Oh no, it happens a lot where we have to shock somebody. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get a picture of what's going on in there.
Yeah. So her wrist wounds weren't like tiny little scratches, right? There are people online describing them as these small scratches. That is not true. Medical testimony said that one of the wounds was 3 to 3.5 centimeters deep, and another was around 2 centimeters deep. So she needed stitches, and then her neck wound just needed steri strips. It wasn't deep enough to hit any arteries Okay.
So that's like stitches tape.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Lindsay survived all of this, but the spinal cord damage was permanent, and she is now completely paralyzed from the sternum down. So her injury is a little higher than yours. Yours is T10, hers is T6. And if this were simply just a case of a mother deliberately deciding to murder her children, the story would pretty much just begin and end now, right? But it doesn't.
Oh.
Because by January 24th, Lindsay had already spent months telling people that something was wrong with her. She sought out psychiatric treatment. She had gone to emergency rooms because she couldn't sleep.
Wow.
She had called crisis hotlines. She had seen multiple mental health providers. Her husband had contacted providers because he was worried about her. And just weeks before the murders, Lindsay had voluntarily admitted herself into one of the most prominent psychiatric hospitals in the country because she was afraid of her own mind.
I didn't know anyone would ever go to the emergency room for not sleeping. I thought that would be like an appointment you got to make.
No, she was having serious psychiatric problems and she was afraid. So she sought help. But now we need to rewind, okay? Because before I get into this part, I want to make something very clear. I know people are going to hear Jess is a nurse and assume that means I'm presenting myself like some kind of expert, okay? I am not a psychiatric expert. I'm a nurse. My nursing background is specifically in trauma and emergency medicine and now oncology. When I worked in the ER, I rotated through the adult emergency, peds, and our locked psych emergency room. So yes, I have cared for plenty of psychiatric patients, and I understand this stuff in a general clinical sense.
I was always worried about you.
I know you were. You didn't like when I worked in the psych ER.
Not at all. I was like, if they touch you, I'm going to go over there.
But I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psych nurse practitioner. I don't prescribe meds. Okay, so I don't want to sit here 3 years later with a microphone and pretend that I can diagnose Lindsay Clancy better than everybody who actually evaluated her. What I do want to explain is some of these concepts in normal person language, tell you where my nurse brain has questions, and then tell you what the doctors and records actually say so that you have the facts and not just speculation from the internet. So I'm going to keep this as simple as I possibly can because I don't want this to turn into some boring pharmacology class. Russ won't last, okay? So we got to keep this simple. I'm going to try my best, okay?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And everyone that just heard that said, I never used that shit in my life.
Never.
Except the one person's like, well, I did.
Yeah, algebra, never. I don't understand why we needed to take it, but whatever. So by late summer into September of 2022, Lindsay had changed. All right, I told you after Callum was born, everything seemed fine. She was excited about her baby. Her and Patrick.
But Callum's the littlest one.
Yeah. Her and Patrick, her husband, they were happy. They were running 5Ks together. Everything seemed fine. But then in September of 2022, Lindsay changed. She was increasingly anxious and depressed. She wasn't sleeping normally. She had lost motivation. She was seriously struggling. And she and other people thought that she might have postpartum depression, which is a real thing that happens to women after they give birth. Your hormones are all over the place. You're overwhelmed, and there are millions of women all over the world who experience postpartum depression.
Can you check for it?
So
you're like, oh, give us some of the hormone she's missing.
It's not only hormonal. It's a mix of different things.
Oh.
There are labs that can be taken to test for certain things like thyroid issues from pregnancy and things like that. But millions of women experience this. And this is something that she was reporting, and she felt like she needed to be seen about.
Does that kick in right after you have the baby, or it takes time?
It can take up to a year to kick in. They'll treat postpartum depression through the 2-year mark.
Okay.
Okay. Because it really starts to kick in within the first year, but then up through the 2-year mark, they continue treatment.
I always thought, I don't know why I thought this, or when I assumed it, but I thought it now. I thought that could only happen with your first baby because, like, it's all brand new. And after, you're like, oh, I already had a baby, so I know I'm not going to get it.
No, absolutely not. It can happen with any pregnancy.
Huh. People have kids on purpose still.
They do. So by late summer into September of 2022, Lindsay had changed. She was increasingly more anxious and depressed. She wasn't sleeping normally. She had lost motivation and was seriously struggling. Eventually, she found an outpatient psychiatrist named Dr. Jennifer Tufts. And Dr. Tufts evaluated her and was working with her under the picture of anxiety and depression, and thinking this could be postpartum depression. Lindsay wasn't reporting any hallucinations. She wasn't telling Dr. Tufts that she wanted to harm herself or her children. There wasn't some obvious psychotic woman sitting in front of her. So Dr. Tufts prescribed Zoloft.
Heard of that a lot.
Yeah, so Zoloft is the brand name for a drug called sertraline, and it's a very common antidepressant. A lot of people are on it, okay? Lindsay was started on the lowest dose. And just after the dose was increased, Lindsay reported dramatic reactions to it. Her anxiety and depression got a lot worse.
Oh.
Her thoughts were racing. She had severe insomnia, and according to the history that later became part of this case, she went 48 hours without sleeping. Okay, so 2 full days without sleeping.
And did this kick in right away?
It happened pretty much right away after the doctor titrated the dose up from the lowest dose.
So now you get off of it, obviously, right? And so as soon as you're having that, you're like, I'm off this.
So, yes, Dr. Tufts, said, okay, this obviously isn't working. This is not good. So she stopped the Zoloft. And stopping it makes sense. But this is the first place where my brain starts asking questions. Because if somebody starts an antidepressant, right, and they tell you, my thoughts are racing, I'm barely sleeping, I feel dramatically worse, we want to know why, right? Why do you feel worse on an antidepressant? This is a med that is supposed to stabilize those exact symptoms. This is a medication that's supposed to treat those exact symptoms, but you're having a complete opposite reaction to this medicine.
But sometimes medicines interact with people differently, right?
They can. So is this anxiety? Is it just a bad reaction to the medicine? Or are we seeing signs of something else that hasn't been recognized yet? And this is where bipolar disorder becomes important. I'm going to explain this as simply as I possibly can, okay? Most people hear the term bipolar disorder and they think it means somebody is happy 1 minute and sad the next, right? That's not exactly what we're talking about. Someone with bipolar disorder can have periods of severe depression, and then they can have periods of severe mania or hypomania.
You know the first case I ever interacted with someone with bipolar?
Who?
I thought about that because I didn't really know what bipolar was till after I met you. I always thought that was like split personalities.
Yeah, you didn't know what it was.
Voices and shit.
Yeah.
There's this kid, Alfred, and I'm not the only one who used to say this. One day, he'd be your best friend hanging out with you, and the next day, like, he wants to fight you. Like,
really?
Like he was a different person. It was so weird.
Was he actually bipolar, or are you just assuming that he was?
Well, how the hell should I know? I didn't take him to a doctor.
I didn't know if you knew what he got diagnosed with.
Well, that's how you know someone's bipolar.
No,
but he would do it all the time.
But that's not
and it would be
bipolar.
like one-on-one. It wouldn't even be like for a show.
That's not bipolar. Bipolar is when someone goes from being has a period of being very, very depressed, and then they have a period of being manic. Mania is racing thoughts, very little sleep, agitation, irritability, unusual amounts of energy, okay? Very impulsive behavior, like draining your bank account, going to the casino, putting it all on red at the roulette table. That's an extreme example. Okay,
sounds like so much fun.
It's an extreme example of being impulsive, but they feel like their brain just will not shut the fuck up. Like it's just going. They have this drive and it will not stop. And it can last days to weeks. And if it gets severe enough, Mania can lead to psychosis, meaning a person starts losing touch with what is real and what isn't. And one thing that becomes really important in Lindsay's case is the difference between insomnia and not needing sleep, okay?
I don't understand that.
If I have anxiety and I don't sleep for 2 nights, I'm going to feel like shit, right? Because I haven't slept. I'm exhausted. I want to go to sleep, but I can't. But if someone tells you they're barely sleeping or not sleeping, but they're also not tired, that means something different.
That sounds like a superpower.
That is the kind of thing that makes you stop and go, okay, wait a minute. What are we actually dealing with? And antidepressants matter because SSRIs can sometimes be associated with a manic or hypomanic switch going off in someone's brain who has an underlying bipolar disorder.
So if your bipolar wasn't showing, now it could, that can make
it can trigger it.
Oh.
So if you are somebody who has an underlying bipolar disorder, but it's never, it's genetic, it's never actually been shown, you haven't actually had symptoms of it, but you start taking an SSRI, it can trigger a manic episode and push you over the edge into bipolar disorder or into mania. SSRIs are really bad drugs for people to take who have bipolar disorder.
And there's no way to know if you have that underlining whatever.
Unless you become symptomatic from your bipolar or you take the drug and it triggers it. Yeah. So that doesn't mean that Zoloft or an antidepressant gives someone bipolar disorder. And it definitely doesn't mean that Zoloft made Lindsay kill her children. What it means that if somebody starts an antidepressant and suddenly their thoughts are racing, they're barely sleeping, and somehow they're not tired, that is something you have to pay attention to. That is a red flag.
Can that be good in some people? You end up being more productive.
No, it is not good. Mania isn't good. They can be productive for a time.
Yeah, because you're awake more and I'm not tired. Like, all right, I'm rocking out.
Yes, but then mania starts to progress and it can turn into something worse. It can turn into psychosis if it's not stopped.
Is that when you see stuff you've been up too long?
No, psychosis we're going to talk about later.
Okay.
But it's when you see things, you lose touch with reality.
Don't sound too bad.
So this is a red flag. And you would think that a doctor, like Dr. Jennifer Tufts, who is a psychiatrist, would have picked up on that. But she didn't pick up on it. And I think this is where people need to understand that patients don't come to appointments speaking psychiatry, okay? Even though Lindsay is a nurse, she didn't come into her appointment and say, hello, I believe I'm developing bipolar disorder with mixed features. Blah, blah, blah. No, she said, my brain won't shut off. I haven't slept. I'm not tired. I don't feel like myself. Something is wrong. I'm scared. My thoughts won't stop. You say things like that.
And when was this? This is now.
She saw Dr. Tufts in 2022.
But I guarantee she looked up her symptoms. She has internet, smartphone, iPhone. So she had an idea what to talk about. Because I would, and everyone else listening would. She's
going to come in and say, my thoughts are racing. I have all of these symptoms. This is what I'm feeling after being on the medicine that you gave me.
Listen, I'm the annoying patient that would be like, hey, I looked it up. This is what I got.
Well, maybe, but...
And then usually, when I don't say that because I don't want to be the annoying patient, but usually after I leave, the fucking internet was right every damn time.
Well, it's Dr. Tufts' job to listen to her patient say these things and then, clinically think through it, put the dots together.
Yeah, it's her job.
It's her job to figure this out, to look at it like a red flag. But I also want to be fair to Dr. Tufts because she testified that she did ask Lindsay about symptoms of mania and psychosis. But Lindsay wasn't telling her I'm manic. She wasn't saying I'm hallucinating. She wasn't saying I'm hearing voices. She wasn't saying things that would trigger mania or psychosis. But what she was saying was symptoms of mania that I feel Dr. Tufts should have picked up on.
So there's no way to check for it except verbally, like she tells you what she feels.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of these symptoms overlap as well. Racing thoughts can happen with mania, but they can also happen with severe anxiety, right? Insomnia can happen with mania, but it can also happen with depression, anxiety, postpartum depression, stress. We know the ending, and Dr. Tufts didn't. So I'm not going to go back through the chart now, and now that 3 children are dead, and act like every mention of insomnia should have been obvious to Dr. Tufts, because that's not fair.
Listen, a lot of us can't sleep.
Because we knew what was coming, but she didn't know what was coming, right? It's not fair to do that to Dr. Tufts. But at the same time, if an SSRI triggers that type of reaction in your patient, a little more investigation needs to happen.
This reminds me a little bit of sports, though, where like after the game and the results are out,
yeah,
you know, hindsight is 20/20. We could
Yep.
like, oh, well, you should have ran the ball there.
100%.
But we only know you should have ran the ball because the pass didn't work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are Monday night quarterbacking, right? And that's what is happening on the internet. That's what's happening throughout this whole case.
Mm-hmm. And no matter when you're quarterbacking or where, you're always doing it better than the Jets quarterback.
So at the same time, this wasn't an isolated symptom anymore, though. Lindsay kept getting worse, okay? Her treatment started getting increasingly more complicated. At different points, she was prescribed medications for depression, anxiety, and sleep, and eventually medications that can also be used for bipolar disorder. But this is where you hear the huge headline number: 13 psychiatric medications and more than 30 prescriptions in roughly 4 months.
At the same time?
That's what the headlines say, right?
If that's crazy, then that like your pills fill your stomach up for the day, like you're full till dinner.
Yes.
Like it's that many.
And that sounds insane when you hear it like that. But we need to clean it up. And I need to tell you what it actually means. It does not mean Lindsay was taking 13 psychiatric medications every single day at the same time. Some were stopped. Some were replaced with other medications. Some were rescue medications, just taken as needed. Some were for sleep. Some she took briefly. Some she wanted to stop. And some she didn't take at all because she refused to take them.
I need some rescue meds. I never heard of that.
A rescue med is something like Ativan. If you're feeling anxious in the moment, you take an Ativan and it calms you down.
I already got it.
That's what a rescue medication
I got
is.
those. It's my bourbon.
So prescribed does not automatically mean taken, okay? Just because she was prescribed all of these meds, it doesn't mean she actually took all of them.
My question is, how was she directed to take them?
So she did take all of the medications she was prescribed. She took the ones that she decided to take. She took them according to the prescription. So if they said take them once a day, she took it once a day.
But when they told her stop that one and take that one,
yeah,
she would stop.
She would do that. Yeah.
Okay. So she followed directions.
So there were a lot of medication changes happening while Lindsay's symptoms were also changing. And that's where a word that you're going to hear through this trial comes out, and it's called polypharmacy. Polypharmacy pretty much just means that someone is taking multiple medications. It does not automatically mean bad medicine, okay? I work in oncology. If taking a bunch of medications automatically meant that somebody was being treated incorrectly, then my patients would be screwed, okay? You would be screwed. You are someone who is a polypharmacy patient. You have a lot of medications that you have to take because of your injuries.
Have to, but I've tapered down to very little amount.
Polypharmacy is not a bad word. There isn't anything wrong with having multiple medications that you're on. The concern is when several medications are being started, stopped, or changed over a really short period of time, especially medications that affect your brain. Because now you have a patient saying, I can't think, I can't sleep, I feel numb, I feel disconnected, my thoughts are racing. You have another problem. Is that illness or is that a medication side effect? So coming off of something and then starting something new and doing it over and over again over a short period of time, it's really hard to keep track of that, right? What's working and what's not working.
You can't tell when it's, from my experience, you can't tell when you switch quickly.
Yeah, it's really hard.
And then sometimes I can't tell. I was like, listen, I'm just going to stop taking everything one by one and see if I feel anything. Because I suspect that this stuff may or may not be working. I don't want to take it for no reason. So I'm going to stop. And if I feel something bad, I'll go back.
Yeah, that's something that Lindsay did as well. Remember, she's a nurse.
Oh, true.
So she would start a plan with her doctor. They would put her on a med. She didn't like the way it made her feel. She'd come off of it.
And she knows what to say. She knows the words.
She does.
This hospital talk.
She does. She was a labor and delivery nurse. She was not a psych nurse, okay? I'm trauma, ED, and oncology. That's the stuff I know. I don't know psych meds very well, all right? So if I'm started on a psychiatric medication, I don't know necessarily what I'm supposed to titrate up to or titrate down to.
That means add or take?
Yeah. I don't know what to do with that. So you do need to see what the experts say. You need to listen to your doctor. But just like you, if a medication didn't make her feel good, she didn't want to stay on it. And most people don't, right?
Well, me personally, I wouldn't even wait to see if it doesn't make me feel good. I'm going to get off of it to see if I notice anything negative if I get off of it. To see if it actually helped. And
Lindsay did that a few times with a few different meds. She just got off of it. She would just stop taking it. Yeah,
don't let them pile the meds up, folks. Like, if you really need it, you really need it. I never needed meds until 2 years ago when I got in my accident. But, doctors aren't perfect. They're humans just like us. So, we just got to make sure they're doing the right thing for us and only be on things you need.
But polypharmacy can get very confusing for patients. And I want to make something else very clear. Throughout this whole thing, there are a lot of people online that say that Lindsay was doctor shopping. That is not a fair description of what was happening at all. She wasn't secretly bouncing around to different prescribers trying to collect drugs. That's what doctor shopping is. Okay? That is not what she was doing. Her level of care kept changing because she kept looking for help and her care kept escalating. So at first she started off with Dr. Tufts. Dr. Tufts is an outpatient psychiatrist. She started with that. She started getting worse. She sought out emergency care. She went to the emergency room. Then her husband's mother worked with a nurse practitioner who specializes in postpartum depression.
Oh, good.
Her name is Nurse Paul. She's a nurse practitioner. She went and saw Nurse Paul because she was recommended by her mother-in-law. So her providers changed a few times, but it's because she kept pushing to escalate her care because her symptoms were getting worse. So she sought out emergency care, perinatal behavioral health treatment, and an inpatient psychiatric stay that she voluntarily admitted herself to.
So to me, that's when you're begging for help.
Yes.
Like when I'm staying overnight in the hospital and I'm volunteering, like I'm telling you, I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
But now, that's crazy. Now if she's that fucked up and she's going back to the children, what risk is there for the children?
So let's keep talking through this, okay? Because she was escalating her care, that raises a much more interesting question than simply saying, why did she have 5 providers, right? The question isn't why did she have 5 providers? It's actually pretty common to have multiple providers if you're going to different areas, different hospitals, different treatment centers, trying to get help, especially in psychiatry. But the real question is, where was the care coordination? Okay, there's an actual job title called a care coordinator.
Oh.
And there are many care coordinators, and they coordinate care between providers. Now, because, one provider might know about this Zoloft reaction, right? But then she goes and sees someone else and is treated for insomnia, but that person didn't know about this reaction to Zoloft. So then that person puts her on another SSRI because she doesn't know about this history. So you have 5 different providers prescribing medications, not seeing the history from the previous providers. There's no one stepping back and looking at the whole picture. But there is an entire career field of care coordinators whose job it is to do this.
How do you know they're needed? Who tells them?
Well, in our healthcare system, they are essential and very needed, but unfortunately, they are not always utilized and not always part of someone's care.
I'd say almost never. As someone that has a lot of doctors they see, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Jess is my care coordinator.
I'm your care coordinator, yeah.
So basically, no one knows this career exists, and no one knows we should ask for it or use it. A lot of us assume that it's in the computer, that the doctors all could see what you prescribe to each other because we thought it was like a system.
Well, they tried to create a universal system, and a lot of hospitals are on that universal system. It's called Epic. But unfortunately, a lot of hospitals have not adopted Epic. So there is a lot of falling through the cracks because it's very expensive. It's incredibly expensive program to become a part of, and the hospital has to spend a lot of money for it.
So is this something, well, this is something that obviously benefit the American people.
It would, yeah.
Hashtag vote for us. He's for us.
So care coordination is a thing. We use it in oncology a lot, but psychiatric patients don't always have it. And Lindsay was her own care coordinator, right?
As you should be.
But you're asking Lindsay, who is carrying all this information from all these different providers, to be her own care coordinator simultaneously while Lindsay is psychiatrically deteriorating. Okay?
Well, you're not asking her to do anything. People just assume, like, oh, I see this doctor too, because they do ask you who you see and what you're on.
Yes.
So you could, like, at me, I don't necessarily know everything I'm on.
You don't.
But
you don't know your medications.
No, I know some of them.
Okay.
Like, I could tell you, like, what this one does, and then we'll narrow it down. Oh, that's that. Oh, that starts with an S. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not, like, that bad. And I also have it on my chart. I can pull up my phone.
Yeah.
They do ask you, what are you taking, and do you see other doctors or whatever? And it's your job to say, I do, because that's the truth. And if you don't know what you're taking, it's your job to say, I also don't know what I'm taking. I do have a medication from them.
So then whose responsibility is it to then follow up, look at the history, find your records, request your records, call that other doctor, and further investigate? If you can tell that a patient is psychiatrically deteriorating, and you even can tell so far as writing it in your note as, quote, she is deteriorating.
Oh, so that's different, because I was going to say, how does someone know if they look good? A lot of people still look good.
Yeah. People do look good. And that's another thing about psychiatric illness that can be really difficult, is people can still look like functioning human beings and be psychiatrically ill.
Watch out for them baddies, fellas.
So it doesn't automatically mean that malpractice happened here. Providers are allowed to disagree. Psychiatric diagnoses are allowed to change. People move between different levels of care. But the more complicated the patient becomes, the more important communication becomes. And that is one of the biggest questions I still have about Lindsay's treatment, is why was there no coordination of care between these providers? And unfortunately, the answer is bigger than this case. The answer is because of our healthcare system and the way it functions.
I guess it comes down to whose job is it.
Exactly.
And then if a person can't take care of themselves, who should take care of them? That's just a big old...
It's a mess.
Because there's too many people.
It's a really important question that this case is bringing up. This is a case that is bringing up a ton of questions about women's healthcare, postpartum healthcare, psychiatric healthcare. It's bringing up a lot of questions about who's responsible for what. At what point do we stop relying on the patient and start talking? Providers need to start communicating with each other. At what point does the patient still need to be responsible for their own health care? When does the family need to step in?
And because this can't be tested scientifically with like a measurement, it's a judgment call. And that's tough.
It's very tough. This case has a lot of things about it that make it really complex and tough.
Not murdering kids, though. That ain't tough to me.
And then we meet Rebecca Gelada. She enters the picture, right? And this is where the medical timeline finally starts making sense. Rebecca Gelada is a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and she starts seeing Lindsay toward the end of November. Remember, this crime happened January 24th. So now we are in November of 2022. And based on the testimony that we heard, because she just testified a couple days ago, Rebecca Gelada appears to be the first provider that we know of who really starts connecting the dots and asking, are we dealing with bipolar disorder? She has a history of the strange reaction to Zoloft, right? And Rebecca Gelada hears about the racing thoughts and severe sleep problems. And then Lindsay tells her something that gets Gelada's attention. She says, I'm barely sleeping, but I just don't feel tired. I don't feel as tired as I should. By December 6th, Gelada testified that she was treating Lindsay for bipolar disorder. At this point, she's like, all right, this chick definitely has bipolar disorder. We're going to start introducing medications to treat that.
And she's a psychiatrist?
She's a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Similar.
Yeah. And she specializes in postpartum depression. Okay. So Patrick comes to the appointment on December 6th with Lindsay. And Rebecca Gelada tells both of them, I think that you have underlying bipolar disorder. We need to stop your Prozac, because now at this point she's taking Prozac. Nurse Paul put her on this Prozac, which is horrible for patients with bipolar disorder. Her symptoms are getting so much worse. And Patrick's response was, my wife does not have bipolar.
He's in denial.
Lindsay didn't say anything. She sat quietly and didn't say a word. And, you know, I feel like this comment really shows a lot about the state of what was happening in that house, about what was happening in their relationship. I'm sure at this point, and this is just speculation, but at this point, she started deteriorating in September. We're now into December. She's getting worse and worse and worse. She's barely sleeping. I mean, at this point, she's gone months with like 2, maybe 3 hours of sleep a night, every night. Okay.
Well, that affects your brain, right?
Affects your brain horribly. So she's deteriorating. He's seeing his wife deteriorate. All right. At this point, Patrick is taking trips for work to New York. Okay. He is going out with his friends for dinner and lunch. And I think there was an element of denial there. I really do. I think that he didn't want to believe that his wife was bipolar. Bipolar disorder is a very scary diagnosis for people to get.
I wouldn't believe it right away neither. Like, nah, you're all right. Just like, stop, just chill out, man. Like,
exactly. But that is something that, this is why people ask, do you want your spouse in the room when I talk to you about your mental health? Because people will minimize. Because her husband will minimize it. And he did. And she sat quietly and just didn't say anything and let him minimize her symptoms. And that's not fair to Lindsay either.
That's true. But
it's not fair.
You also don't want someone to be super happy to get you on medication either. So there's a balance somewhere, I guess.
We're far past that, Russ.
It's getting bad?
She had been on multiple medications at this point. She had tried multiple things. She had expressed the fact that things are really bad. She's never sleeping. She was becoming afraid of her own brain at this point. She was losing it.
Yeah, losing a marble.
And her husband is in denial. And I think that him simply saying, my wife does not have bipolar, to a nurse practitioner who specializes in this, after your wife has been suffering for the last couple months, I think that did her a disservice.
Maybe you should have said, why does she have it? Like, why do you say that?
Yeah, why do you say that? What is your evidence for this? Let's talk about it.
And now let me get on my phone and Google it to ask more questions while we're here, because that's a big diagnosis. Big diagnosis.
And I think that it really did Lindsay a disservice.
I understand him saying that, honestly, because as you're sitting here trying to change, like, this is going to change lives drastically from here on out.
Or it can get you the actual medication and help that you need to get control of this. And you can become a functioning human being again. You can become my wife again, because right now you're in a mixed bipolar state. You're going from depression to mania, back and forth. The worst state that a bipolar patient can be in is this mixed, untreated state. This is where they're the most vulnerable. And so getting a diagnosis might be scary, but it also gives you answers and gives you a plan.
Makes sense.
I don't want to take Patrick's comment and turn it into Patrick stopped the doctors from treating her, okay? It did her a disservice, but it didn't stop the treatment. That's not what happened. He's her husband. He's not the provider. He disagreed with the diagnosis, but Rebecca Gelada continued treating Lindsay under that diagnosis anyway. And this is where Prozac becomes so important, because at this point, she was taking Prozac still, which I told you multiple times, SSRI, bad for bipolar people. And once Rebecca Gelada believes this could be bipolar, she says, okay, you got to stop this Prozac. You cannot be on it. So she stopped the Prozac, and she starts her on Seroquel. Seroquel is a medication that people with bipolar disorder take. It's also called quetiapine. Seroquel or quetiapine is technically an antipsychotic, but that name can be confusing because taking Seroquel doesn't automatically mean somebody is psychotic. It's also used in bipolar disorder, and it can be sedating, right? So this is the whole issue. She's saying, I have not slept. I haven't slept in months. I cannot sleep. Seroquel is really good for sleep. It brings the mania down. It really brings down all of those symptoms of mania, keeping you up, keeping this engine revving inside of you that you can't stop. And in Lindsay's case, it mattered because she needed sleep. She was desperate for it. So the Seroquel actually helped her. And by mid-December, Lindsay was getting so much more sleep. She was getting like 7 to 8 hours a night.
Oh, I wish.
Way more than she was getting before. But it made her feel like a zombie. She hated how she felt on it. She felt like her body felt heavy. So she went from one extreme to the other. She went from no sleep and feeling like an engine was revving inside of her, and then down to so much sedation that she felt like a zombie. And that's not good either. She felt depressed and unmotivated. She wanted off of multiple medications because she started believing that the medications were the problem. She believed the medications were the things that were making her worse. She wrote multiple MyChart messages to Rebecca Gelada telling her how terrible she felt, how she was afraid of the medication side effects. Gelada believed that it wasn't the meds. It wasn't the side effects. It was actually the symptoms of her condition.
Oh.
It was the symptoms of her postpartum depression and bipolar disorder. But the prosecution in this case during this trial is trying to prove that Lindsay was non-compliant with her care. She wasn't sticking with a plan that was laid out by her providers because she wanted to stop these medications. But we need to be careful with the term non-compliant because, yeah, Lindsay, she wanted medications stopped because she didn't like how she felt on them. And yes, there were times she didn't want to take something exactly the way it had been prescribed, but context matters. Lindsay was scared of psychiatric medications. She had been concerned about taking certain medications while breastfeeding because she was still breastfeeding her baby. She was afraid of becoming dependent on benzodiazepines because at this point, she was taking Ativan, which is a benzodiazepine. It's an anti-anxiety medication. She was taking that multiple times a day to calm down her symptoms, and she was afraid she was going to get addicted to it.
Was she still going to work and everything every day?
Not yet. She wasn't back to work.
Okay.
She eventually was going to try to go back to work, and she was going to start off with just 4-hour shifts, but she knew she couldn't handle it, and she got more FMLA or, asked for more time off because she was too scared to go back to work. She didn't feel like herself. She was trying to figure out whether the meds were helping her or actually making her feel worse. And that doesn't mean Lindsay was right every time. She blamed things on medications. A patient can be wrong about what's causing a symptom. But the big difference between I don't give a shit about what my doctor said, and I'm terrified, I feel worse, and I don't know what's happening to me are two very different statements. Someone who is non-compliant is somebody who's like, I don't give a shit what my doctor says. I'm going to do what I want.
Then why even go there?
Someone who is just scared isn't non-compliant. But the prosecution is trying to assert that through this point in time, Lindsay was just non-compliant with her doctors. Then December 15th happens. Lindsay and Patrick contact the clinic and tell Rebecca Gelada that this is the worst day that Lindsay has had so far. She is having suicidal thoughts. She thinks she needs more help. So Rebecca Gelada says, go to the emergency room. And they go. They go straight to the ER. And that matters to me because whatever else you think about this case, the records do show that Lindsay repeatedly kept trying to get help. She isn't disappearing all the time. She isn't pretending that she's fine, right? Despite what different TikToks tell us. And eventually, Lindsay herself says, I can't tough this out anymore. I just can't do it anymore. And around New Year's, she voluntarily admits herself into McLean Hospital. Voluntarily is so important because people rarely voluntarily admit themselves into an inpatient psychiatric hospital.
That's true, but I know people that have been involuntarily committed.
You do. Yes. People usually are involuntarily
It's
committed.
kind of crazy, though. So you could just use certain keywords and pretty much get anyone involuntarily committed.
Yeah.
That's wild.
McLean is going to complicate this case in both directions, right? If you're looking at this through the defense's eyes, you could say this woman checked herself into one of the most respected hospitals in the country less than a month before she killed her children. How the hell did nobody see this coming, right? But the clinician's answer is basically because she wasn't showing us any signs that this was going to happen. Lindsay was depressed. She was struggling. She had passive suicidal thoughts. So that means she had thoughts of killing herself, but she didn't have an actual plan. So when people want to commit suicide, there is a difference between suicidal ideation, which is thinking about killing yourself, and actually developing a plan. But she wasn't telling anyone that she was thinking about killing her children. She wasn't telling them that she had an active suicide plan. She wasn't saying some man was talking to her and telling her to kill people. Okay? And the clinicians weren't seeing obvious psychosis. Her medications were adjusted. She started sleeping better. She reported improvement. And eventually, after being in McLean Hospital for a few days, she asked to leave, partly because she wanted to be home for her daughter Cora's birthday. And the providers there said, okay, you're sleeping. You look good. Everything seems okay. And she was discharged on January 5th.
Because she was feeling good or she wanted the birthday?
No, she said she was feeling better. And they observed that she seemed better.
All right.
You know, people have said online that Lindsay just, left AMA. She left against medical advice. And
did they write that down in the charts?
No, she was discharged. So the evidence that we've reviewed shows that she left. She asked to leave, but they agreed that it was okay for her to leave, and they discharged her. And 19 days later, she killed her children.
Fucking wild.
And that's hard to sit with. Because I understand the defense looking at this and saying something was missed. The harder question, though, is what? What was missed? Everyone thought she was okay. So now we need to talk about psychosis.
Did she look a mess on the outside or did she look okay on the outside?
No, she looked okay.
Okay.
She looked like she had it together.
She bring her kids to school?
Yeah, she was a stay-at-home mom at the time. He worked full-time, but he worked from home. He was there.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, that's right.
So we need to talk about psychosis. Psychosis, in its simplest terms, means somebody starts losing touch with reality, right? Their brain is not giving them the same version of reality that you and I are experiencing. That can involve delusions, which is where someone genuinely believes something that isn't true, or hallucinations, where they hear or see things that aren't actually there, okay? Psychosis doesn't always begin with somebody standing in the middle of the room screaming at invisible people or someone just walking down the street talking to themselves. Sometimes there can be much less subtle and specific changes beforehand. So psychosis can start with sleep problems, anxiety, withdrawal, trouble concentrating, lack of motivation, difficulty functioning. But none of those things prove someone is becoming psychotic. Millions of people have insomnia or anxiety and they never experience psychosis. But those things can lead to a psychotic episode.
And then, like, next thing you know, you're a bum licking your Air Force Ones on the train.
We had a video where we showed a video of the dude licking his Air Force Ones on the train. He was not in touch with reality.
He didn't have any wipes to clean it. You got to do what you got to do. You're in New York.
Yeah, there you go. And this is something that I saw firsthand working in the psych ER all the time. People would come into our psych ER and they were out of touch with reality. They were in a full active psychotic episode. And sometimes the things they were doing made literally no sense from the outside. I remember one patient who genuinely believed that he was the second coming of Jesus. He believed it. He was the second coming of Jesus Christ, and he was eating the Bible.
You know what's crazy, though? If there was a second coming of Jesus, like he's supposed to come back or whatever, isn't that what he would say?
Yes, but this man was clearly psychotic, okay? He's eating the Bible. He was ripping pages out of the Bible and chewing it up and swallowing it.
Was he seasoning it?
No, he was not seasoning it. But he was
hot sauce?
He was ripping it out, chewing it up, and swallowing it. And to you and me,
good teeth.
That is completely irrational. Like, that's completely insane. But whatever was happening inside that man's mind, it made total sense to him. Okay? His reality wasn't matching our reality. He was in an alternate reality. And that's what being psychotic is. Having an episode of psychosis, you hear things that aren't there. You see things that aren't there. And I think it's important when people say, well, Lindsay did this or that, so she couldn't possibly have been psychotic. I want people to remember, people who are experiencing psychosis, they can still use the phone. They can still walk downstairs. They can still complete tasks. They can answer questions. They can make decisions. The real question becomes, what reality are they doing all of that in? I'm going to play an audio of what it sounds like to hear auditory hallucinations, because I think it would be really interesting for everyone to hear what people with schizophrenia or someone who's psychotic can potentially hear in their head. A group of people put together, they are patients with schizophrenia, they put together a few videos actually, a playlist of what it feels like to be psychotic.
I've watched those.
And it's really fascinating, so I'm going to play it.
And because, I'm guessing because you posted this across my timeline, I've been getting people that are getting hallucinations and can hear voices on my Instagram, and they're explaining them knowing that they're voices, and they're telling you what they can hear.
Well, I'm going to play this for you because it's really interesting.
Where am I? Where are you going? Look out!
This is pointless. Even that kid knows you're stupid. Everyone knows you're stupid.
Don't go in there. Don't go in there.
Nobody cares about you. Why do you even try? Why do you even bother?
What are you looking for?
Everything's listening to you.
You don't deserve happiness.
The wine bottles.
See, they're laughing.
She's looking at you. They're looking at you.
Everybody laughs at you.
Everybody's talking about you. Because
Go ahead,
make you fat.
get some ice cream.
You don't want that.
Worthless.
It'll make you fatter than you already
You've never
are.
been born.
Worthless. Pointless.
Look out.
All the alcohol. Just
Trash.
take it all.
Poison.
No, don't take that one. No, go over to the other one.
It's poison.
Grab a wine bottle.
Go ahead.
A couple bottles of booze. Just
Drink it. Eat
drink
it.
it until you're
Look out.
passed out. Nobody cares.
Pointless.
Where did they go?
Nobody loves you. No one could.
Some junk food.
They don't
Scream.
care.
The
See?
people. They're talking about you.
Even
They're
he can't
because
even
you're such a
look at you.
loser. Oh, he's walking away because you stink. You smell.
Why do you bother?
You're stupid.
They're fake
He does back
smiles.
turn you because he doesn't like you.
Get you.
And she's leaving because you're worthless.
You should have never
Oh,
been
yeah,
born.
go ahead. Grab it all. Eat all the food.
Don't touch that.
Eat it all.
Don't
Why
touch
did
that.
you bother getting out of bed?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how fat you get.
What are you thinking?
Go ahead. Don't eat
You
that
don't
one.
want that.
Don't drink that one. Go get some
You're
alcohol.
going to die.
Go get the ice cream. There's the. Oh, you
Give
turned
up.
that one. Oh, the lights.
There.
Lights.
Where'd they go?
The lights are
Where are they?
whispering.
It's you.
They're whispering to you. They're calling your name.
Oh, they're after you. Look out. She knows. She knows.
Drink me.
Even he doesn't like you.
They're talking about you.
He's calling the cops.
You're worthless. You're stupid.
You can't trust him.
You
Don't trust him.
That's what you're
yourself.
thinking. Oh, yeah.
can't trust
Talking about you.
Can't say I blamed you. You don't even deserve to be looked at.
What do you
The
think?
TV. They're saying bad things. The news. They're talking
What's the
about you.
point of it?
Get out.
Because you're stupid.
What's the point?
You're worthless.
No, no.
He can't even look at you.
He can't even look at you. Look at him. He can't even look at you. You're so disgustingly
He
ugly.
knows.
You're gross.
He's going for his
He's
gun.
just gonna
His gun.
You deserve it. You're not worth it.
give you the money. You should just leave.
You should
Door.
just run.
You need to get out.
Just get out of
Get
here.
out.
See?
Get out.
Can't even
Just
look at you.
run. Just steal it.
You're disgusting.
Steal it, you thief.
Those girls
Go.
are just
So that's what people who are living with schizophrenia or who are experiencing psychosis, that is something that would happen to them. They hear voices that don't exist. These are different people's voices. It's not the voice in their own head. It's not their own voice. Like, it's a male voice. It's a female voice.
You know what they're hearing?
What?
They're hearing the comments on Instagram.
Yeah, like it's terrifying though, if you
They're
think
all
about
little
it.
know-it-alls talking shit. It's weird there's never any nice ones.
No, so a lot of auditory
Why?
hallucinations can be very self-deprecating.
That's crazy.
But imagine that how terrifying that would be to go through something like that, to hear that stuff.
I wonder if, like, for some people it's terrifying, but for some people it's just driving them crazy because they know it's not real.
Yeah.
And that's the ones that I've come encounter with lately on the internet.
Yeah, people who
Like, they know it's not real and they're telling me, and they're just like, this is what it's saying right now. And
But like, how do you function normally? How do you go about your day? How do you go to work? How do you just go to a store and hear all of that stuff going on and your mind does not quiet down? Like, imagine having to live with that.
you can't even put AirPods on.
How scary that is. Lindsay's defense isn't simply saying she was depressed, right? They are saying she lost touch with reality. She heard an actual male voice, a command hallucination, telling her to do something. But there is a major issue with that argument. The people before January 24th, all of her providers that treated her prior to January 24th, there is no documentation of her saying there is a man talking to me, telling me to kill my children. There is no documentation that she was hearing voices. She didn't tell anyone that. So none of her providers were aware that she was in a psychotic episode or psychosis was happening.
Whether you're in those episodes or not, that's something that's really hard to say out loud.
Absolutely. It's hard to admit. It's scary to tell somebody, I'm hearing a voice or I heard something.
No, I was talking about wants to kill her children or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
To say I want to
say
kill
that
my...
out loud.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you're ashamed
Oh, yeah, for sure.
if it's real.
During the testimony this week, it has come out from Rebecca Gelada, I think it was her that testified to this, that Lindsay did describe having intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts are thoughts that just pop in your head and you don't want them there. So an intrusive thought and hallucination are not the same thing, but an intrusive thought is basically this unwanted thought. It crashes into your brain and you're like, why did I even think that? And it scares you because you're like, you could be chopping up vegetables and all of a sudden you just think, what would happen if I just stabbed myself in the chest? Or you imagine yourself just taking the knife and stabbing yourself in the chest. It's just a thought that pops in your head. You can't control it, but you're kind of shocked by it. You're like, ooh, that made me uncomfortable. Or you're carrying your baby and all of a sudden you just imagine yourself throwing your baby down the stairs. Like, an intrusive thought is a thought that is something you would never actually do in real life, but it pops in your head and it scares you. And Lindsay told Rebecca Gelada that she was having intrusive thoughts, but she didn't say exactly what they were, and she didn't describe them as a hallucination. She called them intrusive thoughts.
She must have looked it up, because you just don't know that unless you look it up. I've never heard those words before. So, like, you know, everyone has things that pop in their head, but you don't know if it's an intrusive thought or not unless you looked up that specific word.
Or you experienced it before and a provider told you, that's what an intrusive thought is.
Oh, because I get intrusive thoughts.
Oh, okay. So
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought everyone got it.
Yes, if you don't react on them, but they can be scary, especially if they can be harmful for yourself or someone you love.
Like, don't do it.
That's the point. No one acts on intrusive thoughts.
Oh, so you get them too?
Everybody has gotten them.
Okay.
It's not an abnormal thing, but people get them more often than other people.
Okay.
And it can be indicative of anxiety or mania. It can lead to that.
Yeah, me thinking, damn, I didn't know I was crazy.
So after the murders, while Lindsay was hospitalized, she leaves McLean Hospital. She seems okay. None of the providers really hear from her. She's not calling them saying something's wrong. She kind of goes radio silent for a couple weeks when it comes to the providers. She doesn't seek any care. Then this crime happens. She's hospitalized. She's paralyzed in the hospital. Her family hires Kevin Reddington, her defense attorney. Kevin Reddington eventually gets a court order allowing a very prominent psychologist to come and evaluate her. And his name is Dr. Paul Zeisel. And I think he's going to be testifying in the next week or so. He's one of the defense witnesses.
So this case is going on right now?
Yes.
Oh.
Right now. So on February 6th, Lindsay used Dr. Zeisel's phone to call Patrick, her husband, and tell him that on the day of the crimes, that she heard a man's voice telling her this is her last chance to kill her children and herself. Patrick asked, did she recognize the voice? Lindsay said no, she didn't recognize this voice. And then he asked, have you ever heard that voice before? And according to Patrick, Lindsay said no.
So why'd you listen to it? You don't even know him.
And that's a really important detail because this specific man's voice telling her to kill her children, that doesn't come out until after the murders, right? So on January 24th, the murders happen. She didn't tell anybody about this voice that she heard until February 6th. So she's been in the hospital.
A few weeks.
She was intubated. She got off the ventilator. Now she is locked in this unit. They won't let her see anyone. Family isn't even allowed to see her because cops are posted outside of her room.
While she's going through that.
While being paralyzed.
That's crazy.
Newly paralyzed.
Now listen, I have no sympathy for anyone who kills their children, but being someone who was paralyzed.
Interesting, because let's talk about that later, where you stand, okay? But we'll talk about it later.
I don't stand anywhere, Jess.
You know what I mean, Russ. So, no one heard about this voice until February 6th. Now, she had been struggling for months. She wasn't sleeping, having racing thoughts, depressed, suicidal thoughts. We know all of that. But none of the providers treating her before January 24th documented Lindsay telling them, I'm hearing a man's voice telling me to kill my children.
Why didn't she tell anybody?
Because maybe it didn't happen until that day.
And she listened immediately. Everyone knows women never listen.
So obviously the prosecution has questions about that. But then something came up during the trial that made this even messier. A couple days ago, the state police officer who was posted outside of her hospital room when this was happening, he testified in court a couple days ago. And during the trial, her attorney, Kevin Reddington, asked this officer whether investigators ever talked about the fact that maybe Dr. Zeisel actually told Lindsay to say she heard voices or planted that in Lindsay's head. Because that is what the prosecution is trying to say. The prosecution is trying to say that she came up with this idea about this man's voice after speaking to this psychiatrist. So Kevin Reddington, her lawyer, is like, was this a theory? Was this a working theory that you guys had? And the officer said, yeah, we discussed it, but no one could actually prove it because only Lindsay and the doctor were in the room together. No one heard their conversation.
True.
So the prosecution is using this as part of their case against her. But Kevin Reddington is saying, wait, but no one even heard her talk to this guy. No one can prove that the doctor planted this in her head or gave her this idea. Maybe this is just the first time she actually told a professional that she heard that voice. It sounds like the police discovered something, but they actually didn't. It was just a theory that they were working between each other. That's a really important difference because sometimes an attorney will ask a question during a trial that sounds like a bombshell, right? The question itself isn't evidence. You have to listen to the answer as well. So yes, it's a fair question. Why did Lindsay describe this specific man's voice after the murders happened? Why didn't she say anything before the murders? It's fair to ask why none of her providers heard about this. It's fair to wonder what Lindsay and Dr. Zeisel talked about being in the hospital room. But we can't turn, I wonder if this happened, into that definitely happened. Okay? And that's the problem with this case. There is a lot of, I wonder if this happened, that has now been turned into, that definitely happened. But we don't have the proof of that. And this brings us to what this whole entire trial is about. Lindsay is not saying I didn't kill my children. She did. She killed her kids.
And she says it?
Her defense said it in their opening statements.
Oh, shit.
Not only that, but she filed a civil suit in January of 2026. I have it. I will put it in the show notes, a link to it. You can read it. In this civil suit that she filed in January 2026, she filed a suit against all of her providers, saying that they over-medicated her. They treated her wrong as far as like they gave her the wrong medications, like the SSRIs. She is blaming her providers. And in this civil suit, she explicitly explains everything that happened. She explains step by step what happened that day. She said she heard a man's voice. She went downstairs. She strangled all 3 of her children with exercise bands. And then the voice also told her to kill herself. So she slashed her throat, slashed her wrists, and jumped out the second-story window. In this civil suit, by the way, everybody, she also says, while she was strangling her children, she said, "Go be with God, baby."
Oh, shit.
She says this. She filed the suit, okay? So her defense isn't saying that she didn't kill them.
But what is she trying to get from these doctors?
For them to be responsible for this crime, because she is claiming she's not criminally responsible because she was asking for help. She was begging for help, and the providers were not giving her the help she needed, and it escalated to this degree.
But they were trying. And, you know, these psychology and anything mental is an opinion. So that's tough.
Well, they work in a framework, Russ. It's not like just a random person's opinion. They're educated on this.
I know.
They work in a specific framework.
But the other doctor saw something the other one didn't see, so he recommended something different.
Yeah.
So it's very subjective.
Yeah, it can be subjective, yes.
So it's tough. Since it's subjective, how do you say someone's wrong or right when it's kind of an opinion?
So, yeah, that's a really good question. So having a mental illness by itself does not mean that you aren't responsible for a crime. And I want to make that really clear.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you can have depression and still be responsible. You can have anxiety and still be responsible. You can be diagnosed with bipolar disorder or schizophrenia and still bear responsibility for a crime. Even somebody who is very mentally ill can be found responsible for what they did. So the jury, there are 18 jurors in this case, okay? And the jury...
Is that normal?
No, this is abnormal. There's usually 12.
Oh.
The judge wanted 18. The jury isn't really being asked, was Lindsay mentally ill? We already know she was. Basically, the jury has to figure out what was happening in Lindsay's mind in that moment. Did she know what she was doing? Was she in touch with reality enough to understand in that moment that she was killing her children and herself and that is wrong? Or was she so out of touch with reality that in such a psychotic state that she was not in control of what she was doing and therefore should not be held criminally responsible. And that's what this trial comes down to. And I want to make it clear as well. If she's found not guilty by reason of insanity, she doesn't walk free, okay? She's going to be committed to a mental hospital for probably the rest of her life or most of it. It's not like she's just going to go live life. It's not like that. She's either going to go to prison because she's found guilty of murder, or she's going to go to a mental hospital because she's found not guilty by reason of insanity. So her life is over. But the jury has to decide in which direction she's going to go for the rest of her life, and if she's considered criminally responsible for this crime.
Ooh, what a terrible ending for her. You know, I'm not saying she deserves a good or bad ending, but she's having a terrible ending, being paralyzed and in prison or a psychiatric home.
Yes, psychiatric hospital. Now, if you watch the trial, if you're actually watching the trial, she is visibly distraught, okay? There have been many times through this trial that they're showing pictures of her dead children. The autopsy results are being read out loud. They have to keep taking breaks because she is breaking down. So the prosecution is saying Lindsay asked Patrick to leave the house. She knew where he was going. She had a limited amount of time alone with her children. All 3 children ended up in the basement. All of them were strangled. Then Lindsay crushed up her medications, put it in lemonade, intentionally cut herself, and jumped out the window. They see a sequence of decisions that she made. They're like, no, she was not psychotic. She wanted to kill herself, and she wanted to take her children with her. And this was a decision that she made. They also point to Lindsay's behavior during treatment, right? How she would research medications, how she asked questions, how she communicated with doctors. She participated in decisions about her care, but the prosecution wants the jury to look at that and see a person who was definitely mentally ill, but was still capable of making choices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's what the prosecution is saying.
She made a choice.
The defense looks at that exact same scenario and says, look, this woman was begging for help. She was trying so hard to get help. She went to doctors. She went to emergency care. She even admitted herself into an inpatient psychiatric stay. Her medications kept changing. She wasn't sleeping. The providers were not giving her adequate care. She felt numb and disconnected, and she kept telling people about it. She kept asking everyone for help. And 19 days later, after leaving that hospital stay that she was in, she killed her children and almost died herself. That's what the defense is saying. That's why I understand both arguments. I truly do. I understand both arguments. And as we're recording this trial is still happening. So I'm not going to pretend that I know what the jury is going to decide. We don't know what the jury is going to decide. Right now, they're sequestered. They're not supposed to look at any social media. They are in hotels. They are not supposed to have contact with anybody from the outside. This jury has a very tough job.
That is tough. But why do they think that's the best environment for a jury to be in?
They need to be sequestered because they shouldn't be influenced by anything other than what they're seeing in the trial. They should only be seeing the 2 arguments put in front of them.
True that.
So this jury has a tough job. And I'm not going to pretend like I know what the outcome's going to be because I truly don't. But apparently, TikTok does know. Because while we're having this actual trial, is happening in Massachusetts, right? Trying to figure out whether Lindsay was criminally responsible for killing her children, thousands upon thousands of people online have decided they're solving a completely different case. According to them, maybe Lindsay didn't kill her children at all. Maybe Patrick did. This has gotten so out of control. It really has, honestly. So let's go through this real quick, okay? Because this is what people also want to hear from me. One of the biggest claims is that Patrick was never properly investigated. So online right now, there's all these people making reels saying the police didn't actually investigate Patrick. They just took his word for it, and that's it. Okay? And I know for a fact that's not true. Police interviewed Patrick. They photographed his face, his hands, his clothing. They went to the restaurant where he said he picked up dinner. They interviewed the manager at that restaurant. They got surveillance footage. They checked the times. They identified the employees who were working at that same time and interviewed them. They got his receipt. They verified his receipt with his credit card payments. They also got surveillance from CVS, showing Patrick there. And within roughly 12 hours, investigators executed a search warrant at the Clancy home and began collecting evidence. In this search warrant, which I have, I'll link in the show notes, you can look at it. This is everything that was collected. Google cameras with the cords, Ring cameras, Google Nest camera, 3V receipts, Toshiba hard drive, CVS bag, baby monitor, Brown journal, notebook, the McLean Hospital paperwork, a pink iPhone, 4 medication bottles and paperwork, tablets with blue case and power cord, a tablet with a purple case, a black laptop with a charger, Windows laptop with a charging station, a laptop with a cord, another laptop with a cord, 2 workout bands, a pink iPhone with a clear brown case, a brown belt, a yellow exercise band, a black exercise band, a blue exercise band, a silver knife with a black handle, a digital video disc, red pajamas, a pink robe, and multiple swabs from red and brown stains found in the house, which is blood. Okay.
Yeah.
So when somebody says, did police ever even verify Patrick was really at CVS? Yes. They literally got the surveillance video. Then we have the shoes. People online have compared images of the shoes he was wearing at CVS with the shoes he was wearing at the restaurant.
It gotta be the shoes.
And they're saying that they're different. So that means because his shoes are
AI?
different. No, well, some people want to claim AI, right? But other people are saying, depending on which TikTok you're watching, he even has on different clothes. And apparently, this means that he secretly went home in between and committed the crime because he changed his clothes or changed his shoes. And then some people say he changed his clothes. Even if tomorrow somebody gives me a crystal clear 4K video proving that Patrick changed his shoes, there is still an enormous gap between Patrick changed his shoes and Patrick went home, murdered his 3 children, attacked Lindsay, staged the entire crime scene, left again, and went about with the rest of his errands. One does not prove another. That's the point.
Oh, that's true.
Saying that the shoes are different literally makes no difference, everybody.
Are they saying like the shoes are different because like you got blood on the first ones and changed them?
They're saying, see, his shoes are different in this video versus this video, so that means that the timing is off. His timeline isn't accurate. He went home in between, murdered all of his kids, tried to murder his wife, and then went to pick up the food.
And the wife is saying she did it.
Exactly. A question mark is not evidence. Then there's the supposed email or IP address evidence that people say placed Patrick at the home during the murders. Okay, so there was an email sent, and online there's this rumor that this email was sent from the IP address in the home, and if that's the case, he would have been home around the time that the murders occurred, so his timeline that he said is off, right? Okay, so what I say to that is, this whole IP address thing, show me. Show me what witness testified to this IP address situation. What's the exhibit? What's the forensic expert that said this happened? Okay, where's the actual source? The answer to that question is there isn't one because 10,000 people are just repeating this on TikTok, but it doesn't mean it's evidence. That's just one claim being passed from person to person until eventually people believe it. There was a work email that was sent at 524. However, emails can show the IP address of your server, even if it's sent from a tablet or a phone or a computer. So people are swearing he sent it from his computer because the IP address was attached to it, when it could have been sent from his tablet or his phone. And people then say if it was sent from his phone, it would have said sent from iPhone, right? Well, I did a test the other day. I wanted to see if when I sent you an email, if then I checked your email on your computer, if it said sent from iPhone. And guess what? It doesn't. It doesn't always say sent from iPhone when you send an email from an iPhone. You can actually change the settings for that. It doesn't
That's true.
always
You could
say
change
it.
the setting.
Okay, so when I sent you the email from my phone, I pulled it up on the computer. It did not say sent from iPhone. And I know for a fact I did it. I can put it on the screen right now. So the email could have been sent from his phone, from a tablet, while he was running errands. But the point also is, even if it was sent at 5:24, he wasn't seen on surveillance until 5:32. Okay. And the CVS is very close to their house. So he still could have been at CVS at 5:32 if he sent that email. It's honestly so annoying to me that I even have to comb through this, okay? It really is. Then there's another thing people are talking about, the DNA. This one sounds extremely convincing if you strip away context, right? So with no context, people online are saying, listen, Patrick's DNA was on the murder weapons.
He lives there.
There you go.
My DNA's on everything.
But that's not an accurate description of what the experts testified to. These were exercise bands inside Patrick's family home. Some of the DNA profiles were mixtures. They were mixtures of all the people in the home. So yes, Patrick's DNA was found on the murder weapons, but so were the kids. So was Lindsay's. All of their DNA was found on the murder weapons. Not just Patrick's. But you hear one video say, oh my God, Patrick's DNA was found on the murder weapons. And then somebody repeats it, then somebody repeats it, and then it turns into only Patrick's DNA was found on the murder weapons. But DNA also doesn't tell you when somebody touched it. So there's a huge difference between there's a mixture and Patrick murdered his children with the exercise bands. Context matters.
I live here.
Exactly.
And DNA, obviously, doesn't expire. It lasts forever, most likely, according to the DNA shop.
There you go.
Like, we get you 20 years later, you bum. Look at the Golden State Killer.
Yes.
Michelle McNamara.
Yeah, Michelle McNamara.
Good book, man. If you didn't read, you haven't listened to listen to her book, I'll Be Gone in the Dark. So damn good.
It is a really good book.
I don't even like books that much.
Another one people keep bringing up is Lindsay's body temperature. And I addressed this in my reel that I made about this. And this one's really interesting because the number people are talking about is real. Her temperature was 82.1 degrees. Like, no one's disputing that. That is incredibly severe hypothermia. What people online add is, and this is nurses saying this shit too, okay? And they need to stop. There is no possible way that Lindsay could have gotten that cold during that amount of time, because she was only apparently outside for 20 or 30 minutes in January in Boston, but there's no way she could have gotten to 82 degrees in that short amount of time. And so therefore, Patrick's timeline is fake. Therefore, Patrick actually committed the crime.
How did you know they were nurses?
Because they said it. So my response is according to who? Because the doctors testified that Lindsay was profoundly hypothermic. That's not the same thing as the doctors testifying that Patrick's timeline is medically impossible. So she was only outside for 15 minutes. 15 minutes from when? When are you actually measuring it? From the fall? From when she hit the ground? Or from when Patrick found her? Or from when 911 showed up? How long was she actually outside?
How long was Patrick gone?
Less than an hour, yes. We don't know how long she was actually outside because we don't know how long Patrick showed up after she threw herself out the window. Also, we're talking about someone who has a spinal cord injury. They are in neurogenic shock. In my reel, I explain that prior to Russ's injury, me, as an ED and trauma nurse, had never seen somebody whose temperature got to 82 degrees within 30 minutes. I think the lowest temperature I ever saw on a human being was 84 degrees, and I think it was a homeless person who was outside for way longer than 30 minutes. So prior to Russ's injury, I would have said, oh yeah, that seems impossible. Someone outside for 15, 20, 30 minutes even, getting to 82 degrees, that's impossible. And then Russ's injury happened, and I saw firsthand my husband unable to regulate his own temperature. I saw Russell's temperature going from 102 degrees and us shoving ice all over him while he was intubated. Literally, we poured ice on top of you.
I didn't know that till now.
You had ice baths while you were on the ventilator. And your temperature would get up to 102, 103 degrees. We would throw ice on you, and then his temperature would go all the way down to the low 90s from ice on him while we were giving him a bath. Okay? I saw firsthand that a blanket being over him, it's called an environmental fever. People with spinal cord injury get environmental fevers. He'll have a blanket on him for 20, 30 minutes, and he'll spike a temp. He'll have a fever. This is something that people in spinal shock or neurogenic shock go through. They cannot regulate their temperatures, especially when they're in shock. On top of that, she lost a significant amount of blood. Stabilizing people's temperature with a spinal cord injury is really difficult to do. It's not easy. So that is the reason her temperature got so low. The combination of it being cold outside, us not knowing how long she was actually laying in the snow outside in Boston in January, and she was in neurogenic shock. And the doctors have testified to this. Lindsay's temperature was 82 degrees. That is evidence. Therefore, Patrick murdered his children. That is something that someone added that they made up off the top of their head. Then there's a thyroid. Everyone says, her thyroid got crushed. How could she speak? Her thyroid was crushed. You can't talk with a crushed thyroid, right? That's what people are saying online. There's no way Lindsay could have done this to herself. She had to be strangled because she had a crushed thyroid. So Patrick did it. First of all, the phrase crushed thyroid can be very confusing because in trauma discussions, a crushed thyroid doesn't mean your thyroid gland was crushed. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It means that the cartilage around the voice box was probably crushed. Okay? And even injuries to that cartilage can happen from blunt trauma. She sustained so many injuries to her body: pelvic fractures, lungs filled with blood, multiple rib fractures, a spinal cord injury. It was like 25 to 30 feet.
Did she land on her head?
We don't know exactly how she landed, but she landed in a way that crushed the cartilage of her thyroid, as well as all of the injuries below that.
See, all the other injuries, I didn't know that was all possible too. Because I know someone could fall from a ladder cleaning their gutters. I've met people, unfortunately, that have been through that.
Mm-hmm.
But all those other injuries, I thought you had to, like, I don't know, be flying through a mountain and smack a tree. Because from the second floor, just of your house,
mm-hmm.
you're definitely not going as fast as I was on a bike. And those are the things that happened to me.
Yeah. You have very similar injuries to Lindsay Clancy.
Yeah.
And yeah, she fell about 25 to 30 feet. And
because think about the speed, right? If you're going just from the first floor to the second floor, what are you reaching? 4 miles an hour? Like, you're not going that fast. Like, that's crazy that much can happen to you in that amount of time. And I'm not trying to negate it, folks. Be very careful. Don't climb ladders, clean your gutters.
Mm-hmm.
None of that.
Christmas lights. We know somebody.
Christmas lights.
Yeah.
I met people in rehab.
Yep.
Motherfuckers hanging their Christmas lights. Fuck Christmas. Get the lazy laser lights and shit. Who cares what the neighbors say? Shine that shit right in their window when they say something.
Exactly. But yeah, these are real documented injuries that she really sustained. I mean,
she really got them then. Yeah, so it happened from that height. That's just crazy from such a short fall.
Yeah. But this crushed thyroid is making people online say, oh, the crushed thyroid wasn't from the fall. It's because she was strangled. Because they're claiming you can't crush your thyroid from a fall.
A lot happens.
And I'm telling you, you can. and it's the cartilage around the voice box that they were referring to. And you can also talk with a crushed thyroid cartilage. Her voice box itself was not crushed, and you can speak with that. And people are claiming she couldn't have possibly told Patrick they're in the basement because she couldn't speak. Because by the time first responders showed up on scene, at this point she was moaning and probably in tons of pain and unable to speak. But people have horrendous, serious injuries and are able to speak the entire time.
I spoke in a helicopter.
Your injuries were almost identical to Lindsay Clancy's aside from the crushed thyroid, and you were talking the entire time until you rolled off to surgery.
And I was like, regular. Like I
You didn't lose consciousness.
No, I was like, I probably didn't lose consciousness, so they gave me meds to lose consciousness in the helicopter.
No, you didn't even lose consciousness in the helicopter. Because
I wasn't there when we landed. And I don't remember landing.
I spoke to you in the hospital before you rolled off to surgery. You and I had a whole moment.
I lost a few hours.
I was on speakerphone with you. I heard you talking the entire time. You had a collapsed lung and a lung filled with blood. She had 2 lungs filled with blood, right? You were still talking. You had multiple rib fractures. She had multiple rib fractures. That's why her lungs were filled with blood, because they punctured her lungs. Same with you. Like, people can go through trauma and still speak. It's possible. And just because there was trauma to that area does not mean Patrick did this crime. I think some of this confusion comes from watching Kevin Reddington cross-examine witnesses and not really understanding what defense attorneys do. Reddington's entire job right now, he's fantastic, by the way. First of all, we know he's introducing reasonable doubt because look at what this is causing, okay? I think Kevin Reddington is fantastic. He's a great attorney. But his whole entire job is to poke holes in the story that the prosecution is presenting, guys. He's supposed to say, were you aware of X? He's supposed to say, were you aware of XYZ? And then there's TikTok screaming, did you hear that? Did you hear the lawyer say that? Just because the lawyer is asking a question doesn't mean it's evidence. Defense attorneys are supposed to challenge witnesses. They're supposed to suggest other possibilities. They're supposed to poke holes in the prosecution's case. That's literally their job, to introduce reasonable doubt. We just saw the perfect example with Dr. Zeisel, right? If you clipped just Reddington asking whether the defense psychologist told Lindsay to say she heard voices, then you could make it sound like this is a huge bombshell. But then you keep listening and you hear that the trooper said, no, we were just speculating about that. It was just us talking. That's how misinformation gets made. And then there's something else I really want people to think about before confidently saying Lindsay is completely innocent and Patrick did this. Kevin Reddington. Lindsay hired him a month after the murders. He and his team, guys, this didn't happen 3 weeks ago. This happened 3 years ago. And Kevin Reddington has been her attorney for the last 3 years. And him and his team have been investigating and preparing for this case. They haven't just watched 12 TikToks and got up there, okay? They have access to all of Lindsay's medical records, all of the crime scene evidence, all the DNA, toxicology reports, her injuries. They have private investigators. They have psychiatric experts and forensic experts. They have evaluated her. They have evaluated all the evidence in this case. They have access to the police discovery. They have information that random people online do not have. They conducted their own whole ass investigation. Kevin Reddington is a well-known, renowned defense attorney. He's not some schlub that she picked up off the street.
His suits fit.
They don't necessarily fit.
Oh, God damn it, Kevin Reddington.
He's
Get your shit together. Get a tailor.
He's a little disheveled. He's a little bit of a hot mess, but it goes with his whole vibe.
He only focuses on the case, probably.
He doesn't walk around with a bunch of assistants holding his stuff. He walks around with a bunch of paperwork all loose. His suit is kind of a little too big.
I feel like Robin Williams would have played this guy perfect.
He's a disheveled...
RP Robin Williams. I love that guy.
I love him too. He's a disheveled looking guy, but He came out of retirement for this case.
Retirement?
If you look up his Wikipedia, homeboy has defended people in some crazy cases, and psychosis is something he specializes in, okay? He also hired his own digital forensic expert named Stephen Verano. I think I pronounced that right. He is the president of MWV Multimedia Forensics Investigative Services. Kevin Reddington hired him, and his whole job is to go through all the digital evidence, the cell phone evidence, the computer forensics.
Sounds like the worst job I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun. But his whole job for the defense is to look at things like phone extractions, digital timelines, data from devices. Kevin Reddington is not fucking around, okay? So everybody on TikTok claiming that there's going to be this whole twist, this whole moment where Kevin says, you know what? I lied. The whole time, it was really him. That is not happening, guys.
Is Kev old?
Yeah, he's older.
Like, does he look like 70-ish?
He's in his like late 60s, early 70s, I think.
Okay.
Maybe looking, he's in his, yeah.
Because he was retired, so I was trying to get an image.
Yeah. Like, he prepared for this.
He's doing this on the arm. He's
definitely not doing this on the arm.
Oh, he came out of time? I thought he was like, this one seems interesting. I got this.
So people aren't sure where the money is coming from, but I'm pretty positive it's Lindsay's family. Her parents are paying for this. Okay. After all of that, Lindsay's defense is still Lindsay killed Cora, Dawson, and Callan, but she is not criminally responsible because she was severely mentally ill and psychotic at the time. It is not Patrick killed them. Even, like I told you earlier, in Lindsay's civil lawsuit that she is suing her providers, she detailed what she did that day. So if you're saying that Lindsay is factually innocent and Patrick actually did this, understand how enormous that claim is.
That sounds crazy.
Understand that a man walked into his basement, saw all of his children strangled with exercise bands, his babies strangled with exercise bands, and his wife attempted a suicide and is now paralyzed. Understand that you're saying that this man did this after everything he's been through. Was he the perfect husband? No, don't get me wrong. I'm not claiming he was the perfect husband. Do I think he was fully supportive of everything going on with her mental health? No, I don't. Do I think that he might have disconnected and checked out? Possibly. Could he have had an affair? Possibly, because 4 months after the murders, he started dating someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Only 4 months after.
Oh, yeah. He was a dirty stay out.
So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a perfect person. But understand, if you're claiming that this man did this crime, what you're actually saying about this dude. You're saying also that police missed the actual killer, that the prosecutors missed him, that Lindsay's own defense attorney missed him, that her private investigators that the defense hired missed him, that her forensic experts missed him, and somehow Kevin Reddington spent more than 3 years building an insanity defense for a woman who didn't commit the murders. Could all of those people be getting something wrong? Of course, they can. We have an entire fucking podcast proving people get things wrong.
True that.
But if you're making a claim that big, you need actual evidence that big. Not shoes, not unverified IP address rumors, not body language, not the fact that you don't like that somebody might have been having an affair, not the fact that you don't like that it makes you feel weird that he moved on 4 months after the murders and started dating someone else and got married in January of 2026 this year. Or I'm sorry, April of 2026 to that woman.
That is real. All right. Regardless of what happened, like what your opinion is what I should say.
Yeah.
That is weird as fuck.
I agree.
Like, no matter what, Like, you could be with someone and not have to go get married.
It's weird. I agree with you. Don't get me wrong.
There was shit going on, but that doesn't mean you murdered someone.
Absolutely.
Because she's been going with this for a while, and he might have been like, I'm
might
getting
have
out of here.
He may have been checked out from months before because he didn't want to deal with his wife's mental health crisis. Okay?
Maybe he's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Exactly. There are a lot of partners out there that decide, I didn't sign up for this. I'm done.
I'm glad you signed up.
People decide that all the time when people go through trauma and horrible things. But to move on that fast is making the internet uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. 100%. But that discomfort can't allow us.
It's not illegal.
To make shit up, to just decide that a man who went through this horrendous event actually committed the crime. Like, let's get real, guys. Please. And this is where I think true crime has started messing with our brains a little bit. And we need to be very careful. We've been trained to expect a twist. The husband did it. Police missed something. The 911 call sounds weird. Look at his shoes. Look at his face. Look how he's acting on the stand. He didn't even cry. Why did he say it like that? Something isn't adding up. Why did he move on so fast? He had to have been having an affair. And sometimes things genuinely aren't adding up. But somewhere along the way, people have stopped asking questions because they want the truth and started asking questions because they want to solve the story. And once you've decided that Patrick did it, everything becomes evidence to you. If he cries, he's acting. If he doesn't cry, he's cold.
Mm-hmm.
If one detail changes, he's lying. If nothing changes, it's rehearsed. If he forgives Lindsay, that's suspicious because he came out in a press conference and said, I forgive Lindsay for what she did. She was not an evil person. She was a sick person. That's what he came out and said.
How long were they together?
Years. If he hated Lindsay, that would probably be suspicious too, right? If he never moves forward with his life, somebody will analyze that. If he does move forward with his life, people analyze that.
True that.
If he moves on too fast, he's definitely cheating. There is no longer anything the person can do that will make you reconsider your theory. And once your theory can explain every possible outcome, you're not testing a theory anymore. It's not a theory anymore. Now you're protecting it. And then you see confirmation bias. And when thousands of people start reinforcing that same theory,
damn algorithm,
until questioning it gets you attacked, that's where groupthink comes in. That's how algorithms work, people. We have talked about this. This is what algorithms do. It's confirmation bias loophole that you end up in.
Next thing you know, you think everyone's breastfeeding.
There you go. You see one video, you like it, and then you're going to...
No, I did not like it. If I did, it was a mistake.
Whatever. You stayed on it too long. Then you're going to keep seeing that same type of video come up. Then you're going to start repeating those same talking points. Then you're going to start seeing, oh, those talking points make a lot more sense here. And then your whole entire mindset gets shifted. This is why I think we need something like true crime literacy, right? We have media literacy. We have health literacy. True crime has become such a massive part of our culture that maybe we need to start teaching ourselves how to consume it responsibly. Know the difference between fact and an allegation. Know the difference between a testimony and an attorney asking questions. Evidence and somebody's interpretation of the evidence. A medical possibility and a medical conclusion. Something being weird and off and something being incriminating. Like a source, an actual source, and a random person on TikTok saying, I heard. And most importantly, the difference between asking a question and inventing an answer. And listen, we have our own part in this too. Like, we're responsible for some of this. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. And it really is upsetting me a lot. We have a part in this because we make a true crime podcast. We take real tragedies and we turn them into episodes. There's always going to be something a little uncomfortable about that. I'm being honest.
It's true.
So maybe the answer isn't that everybody has to just stop consuming true crime. I don't think that's the answer because we can learn a lot through true crime content. But we need to become better consumers of it. And I do too. Now I've given you all this info. Okay?
I got it.
You got everything. I went through literally everything. This was the hardest script I think I've written in our entire 6 years because I had to try to narrow down. I mean, you could do a full series on this case.
You were
right?
pretty busy doing this every day.
Every day.
I didn't even see you.
I've been obsessive. Ask Russ. He hasn't even talked to me the last week. I've been writing this over and rewriting it. There are multiple podcasts right now covering this trial day by day. The Prosecutor's Pod is doing a day-by-day coverage of this trial, and they're doing it from a prosecutor's point of view, and it's very fascinating. I don't agree with everything they say, but I love listening to them because they're objective, and they see it from a law perspective. I'm looking at this from a medical perspective, okay? That's my frame of reference. They're looking at this from a prosecution's perspective.
Where am I looking at it from?
The normal, everyday person's perspective.
A profiler's perspective.
Oh,
Watch
sorry.
your mouth.
Sorry. I got to put some respect on your name.
Yeah, I've done profiled a lot.
Sorry about that. So, I've given you everything. This has been one of the hardest scripts I've ever written out of all the time we've done this podcast, trying to narrow all this information down. And now that I've given you everything, I want to tell you what I think about this case right now, okay? And I'm saying right now, very intentionally, because since the trial is still happening, there are a lot more experts coming. The defense still has to call all of their witnesses. Okay? More evidence might be presented.
Daily.
And if something changes what I think, I will change what I think. I'm not set in what I think about this case. I'm telling you what I think right now about this case.
Yes, don't be afraid, folks, to ever admit that you changed your mind. It's okay when you get new information to change your mind and just to admit I was wrong at the time, but I learned.
Absolutely. So I'm saying right now intentionally, okay? And my opinion has changed on this case. So when I first started researching this case, the medical side felt much more straightforward to me than it does now. I saw 13 medications. I saw multiple providers. I saw hospitalizations and a woman repeatedly asking for help. And it was really easy for me to be like, what are these people doing? Why aren't they helping her? What is happening? And I was on that bandwagon of the system failed her immediately. Okay. Now, I still have a lot of questions. I still feel like the system is flawed. As a healthcare provider, I will still be the first one to tell you our healthcare system sucks. And there are a lot of problems with it.
Well, you know, it's a for-profit thing. And I've been kicked out of a hospital when I couldn't walk or have a wheelchair after a spinal cord injury. I'm like, what are you guys going to do? Pull me out by my feet because I can't get up?
You couldn't even sit up on your own.
I couldn't. Yeah, like nothing. I couldn't go to the bathroom.
Exactly. So I feel our system is definitely flawed. Mental health care is very flawed, okay? And it fails people all the time. Our system fails people constantly. So when I first saw this case, I automatically was, boom, they failed her. Now, I still have questions. I still think our system is flawed. I still think huge mistakes happened. That Zoloft reaction stands out to me. Racing thoughts, very little sleep, and you're not feeling that tired. That is a red flag. That is something that doctors should have picked up on. Knowing what came later, I have a lot of questions about why didn't the doctor pick up on this? I have questions about why was Prozac even part of this equation if we already knew that she had a bad response to another SSRI? Why are we starting Prozac? That's another red flag. That is when you're like, why didn't you look at her medical records? Why were these mistakes made? I have questions about continuity and care coordination. Why wasn't there care coordination between providers?
Sometimes as a patient, you just feel as if you're a number and you're taking a number and you're getting served and they're getting paid off you and you move on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this system is flawed. But watching Rebecca Gelada testify changed my opinion a little bit because someone did eventually recognize that bipolar was part of this. Rebecca Gelada, in my opinion, as far as the providers that have testified thus far, was the one who had it together the most. She's the one who thought through this the most. She connected dots. She also was in constant communication with Lindsay. They messaged each other on my chart all the time. Lindsay was messaging her nonstop, and she told her to go to the ER. She had a meeting with her husband and her. She said, I see bipolar diagnosis. She became concerned about the Prozac and got her off of it and changed course. I don't think it's fair anymore for me to say nobody saw any of this. Everyone failed her. The system failed her. No one tried to help her. That's not true. I also don't personally look at Lindsay during these months and see some difficult, careless patient who didn't want treatment. I see somebody who kept asking for help, who wanted treatment. I see a woman who was scared of her own mind, who was terrified of what was happening to her. She went to doctors. She went to ERs. She called crisis hotlines. She tried specialized care. When you voluntarily admit yourself into a psych hospital, that is a big deal. That doesn't mean every fear Lindsay had about medication was medically correct. It doesn't mean every medication made her worse. And it definitely doesn't mean I can say medication caused the murders, because you can't.
There's no way to prove that.
But when someone feels like they're losing control of their own mind, I can't imagine how terrifying that is. Rebecca Gelada didn't see psychosis. Letitia Dukes didn't see psychosis. Dr. Tufts didn't see psychosis. McLean Hospital didn't diagnose Lindsay as actively psychotic. I don't think we can just ignore all of those clinicians because we know what happened later. Like you said, hindsight is 20/20.
All the time.
We're on the other side of this. But I also don't think that the fact that Lindsay was not psychotic during an appointment in early December automatically proves that she couldn't have been psychotic on January 24th. Those are two different things.
She spiraled out of control really fast.
So I think it's possible, yes, that Lindsay was psychotic. I believe at this point, Lindsay heard a command hallucination that she described. I believe this hallucination was a man's voice that told her to kill herself and her children. She was not in touch with reality. And I actually believe that the fact that Patrick says that she said she had never heard that voice before doesn't disprove all of this to me. It actually reinforces it to me that it could have happened that day. I cannot climb inside of Lindsay Clancy's head on January 24th and tell you what she heard. So I'm not going to pretend I know. But as far as malpractice, I'm not comfortable saying that the medical system caused this. Not based on what I know now. I think mistakes have been made for sure. I think some providers seem to have handled things better than others. I think that coordination of her care deserves real scrutiny. But that's really different from me saying that the doctors caused these 3 children to die. I don't believe that. I don't have expertise or enough evidence to say that out loud. And as for Patrick, based on what I've seen so far, I see absolutely zero evidence that gets us from questions about him to Patrick did all of this.
Yeah.
That's where the internet loses me. Ask questions. Absolutely. Fact check him. Absolutely. Fact check everybody. Fact check me. Fact check us.
Not me. Mind your business.
Fact check me.
I'm just making shit up off the cuff.
But accusing someone of murdering 3 children requires more than some TikTok speculation. And that's the biggest thing that this case has taught me. We have become incredibly uncomfortable with saying, I don't know.
No one likes to know it all, folks.
We see an empty space in a story and immediately we want to fill it. But we don't have to. We can wait for evidence. We can change our minds when new evidence comes in. We can say something is possible without pretending that it's been proven. We can admit that two things can be true at the same time. This doesn't have to be black and white. Lindsay Clancy can have killed her children because of postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. Lindsay Clancy can also have been profoundly mentally ill. Her providers can have made decisions that seemed reasonable based on what they knew at the time, and we can still say that they made some real big mistakes with her treatment. Lindsay can appear to be organized and rational during an appointment and potentially experience psychosis later. Patrick can behave in a way that somebody on the internet finds strange without being a murderer. A case can be horrifying and complicated without there being a secret twist coming. Because at the end of the day, Cora, Dawson, and Callan aren't characters in a Netflix series that we're all talking about online. Patrick isn't somebody we get to keep interrogating until we unlock a secret ending. And Lindsay isn't a character whose writers are laying Easter eggs for us. This is a real family. 3 children really died.
So sad.
And imagine how terrified those kids were in that moment. And whatever this jury ultimately decides about Lindsay Clancy's mental state doesn't change that. So, ask questions, fact check people, fact check me, change your opinion when evidence gives you a reason to. But don't become so attached to being the person who figured out the twist that you stop caring about whether the twist is actually true. Because true crime literacy isn't learning how to solve a murder from your couch. When we're talking about real people, getting it wrong has consequences. Patrick is not going to be able to walk down the street without random people from the internet calling him names, yelling at him, making claims that are not true. Okay? When we're talking about real people, a theory might just be content to you or me, but to this family, it's their life.
Mm-hmm.
To Patrick's parents, to Lindsay's parents, to all the people who loved these 3 children, who have to get online and see these people discuss their horrific murders as if they're discussing a series on Netflix, it's gross. So if I were sitting on that jury based on the evidence I've seen so far, I would find Lindsay not guilty by reason of insanity. Not because I think she's innocent of killing her kids. She killed them. And not because I think mental illness automatically excuses someone from responsibility. I don't believe that either. I would reach that verdict because at this point, I believe Lindsay was so mentally ill that she disconnected from reality. I believe that all the evidence has shown that she was a loving mother who absolutely loved her children. And up until this point, when she mentally deteriorated, she would do anything for her kids. Everyone that knew her said this. So I would find her not criminally responsible for what she was doing. And I could be wrong. And that's important too. The trial isn't finished. And if evidence comes out tomorrow that changes this picture, then my opinion will change too. That's the whole point. We shouldn't decide what we believe and just spend the rest of the time trying to make the case fit every piece to the theory that we have. Change your mind if new evidence is presented. And that's it.
Yeah, out of breath.
Yeah, I'm really pissed off.
Well, a lot of people have been hitting you up on the internet and stuff. I mean, after hearing all of this, obviously, the lives of many people have changed for the worst after this, which is saddest.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy. 3 children. That's the number one thing besides everyone's feelings. Who gives a fuck what anyone feels? I'm kind of always on the side of, I don't give a fuck what the excuse is. If you committed something this bad, everyone gets the same consequences who does something this horrific. I'm not going to give you a not guilty by insanity plea so your term can be a little easier and your sheets could be a little softer and your food could be a little better.
Interesting.
You murdered 3 children, no matter what the reason is, no matter who told you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
So
I just don't care. What the reason was, I just don't care. You took crack, you killed your kids. You took Zoloft, you killed your kid. I just don't care. So,
well, no, I'm not saying that it was the medication. I'm saying that it was a psychosis.
I just don't care. Like when you do something that horrific, I never care what the reason is. We need to discourage this at all costs. I can't think of anything worse. You know what I mean? Like,
so just because I know you know that she's not going to get off. Like this, she's not going to go live her life.
Yeah.
Like she's going to still be in a hospital.
Now listen.
For mentally ill people. I mean, she's going to be in a psych hospital.
Yeah, and she's paralyzed, so she's suffering that, but that's also self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
So as someone that's paralyzed, and I self-inflicted it on myself within reason.
Well, and it was an accident.
Riding a bike or whatever.
Yeah.
But she tried to commit suicide. People are going to hate this. She tried to commit suicide. She broke her back after killing her children. I don't feel bad for her.
You don't?
Nope. You killed your children. You tried to jump out. Now, it didn't work out for you. Now you're suffering the consequences. You may have been having a problem.
What about if... But
you're also a problem. People that can kill children are the problem.
I honestly knew that you were going to have this opinion.
Absolutely, and so did everyone else. You can't do that.
Veer this way.
No matter what.
Regardless of any type of mental health.
When it comes to that?
Discussion or diagnosis, I figured that this was going to be your opinion.
Her food shouldn't be warmer in the mental health place.
Okay, so psych hospitals aren't like a resort.
You don't kill fucking kids with your bare hands and get any leeway. I don't give a fuck.
Wow. Okay. This will be really interesting.
I feel like jail is leniency because other people will get the death penalty.
Not everybody, Russ. Some people just get life for murder.
Yeah, but killing your own 3 kids with your bare hands, I think that, I don't know, I'm guessing. Bitch, you guessing. If the death penalty is available, that's where they try to push it. Listen, they're probably sad for her too. Listen, she seemed like she was going through some stuff. But even no matter what you're going through, certain things you can't excuse. And you can't get leniency on certain things. And defenseless babies, I don't care what happens to her, honestly.
Yeah. You don't care if she goes to prison?
Nope. You touch those babies, I don't care.
Interesting. Now, this case...
And people are going to get mad at that.
Well, a lot of people agree with you. And a lot of people agree with me. And a lot of people... aren't going to agree with either one of us and think that Patrick did all of this.
And listen, when it comes from this, and if you're mad at me, think about this. All I want is children protected. That's it. I want no one to touch children, and if they do, to suffer the worst consequences because they're innocent and they haven't done anything to deserve it.
There is a whole population of women who give birth, go through postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. These are real things that happen to real women.
I know.
In our world.
And they don't kill their baby.
No, not all of them do. Some of them are able to stop themselves or get help or, get medicated and stop the postpartum psychosis. But psychosis is real. When you're not in touch with reality, you're living in an alternate reality. So you don't believe that there's a possibility that she didn't fully understand the weight of her actions in the moment.
Listen, I don't care if she's in Narnia behind the wardrobe.
Okay.
You can't kill children. I don't care.
Okay.
I do not care.
I see your point.
You killed 3 children with your bare hands. Mm-hmm. I do not care if you're floating on cloud 9. I don't care if you're Earth Angel in the Bronx. I don't give a fuck.
That's a Bronx insider scoop that no one knows unless you're from
Yeah,
the
I
Bronx.
don't care how crazy you are. Certain things, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. She killed 3 children. Doesn't matter what's wrong with her. You can't do that.
I knew you were going to have this opinion. I think our listeners that know you well probably knew you were going to have this opinion. And I'm pretty sure they probably thought I was going to have this opinion.
And they probably have my opinion.
And I'm curious what your guys' opinion is. I want you to comment. I really want to know what our listeners think.
My question is, maybe you guys can answer, maybe you could answer. I don't know how to even word it. Like, this is just inexcusable. There's no excuse for certain crimes. What crimes can have excuses? Little crimes. You can't have an excuse for this. What you did is, top 3 horrific things you could probably do in the world.
Yeah, it was brutal.
She gave herself consequences. She jumped out the window. She's paralyzed now.
I mean, she thought she would die. I guess the thing that you have to remember is we're not making an excuse for her to say she should just get off and go live her life.
I'm not giving her less.
But she is someone who was mentally ill and is still now, especially now, probably even more mentally ill because of what she did and her spinal cord injury and all the things that come along with everything.
Oh my God, the pain she goes through every day. Like physical. Like, yes. I know from spinal cord injury, I'm in pain 24 hours a day. I smile. No one knows. I'm right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But she deserves it. You killed 3 innocent babies. I do not care.
Really?
Nope. Not when you killed 3 innocent babies. I will never forgive anyone. You kill innocent, beings that, love you. Yeah. You know what I mean? These babies are trying to hug her. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I figured you would feel this way.
And saying that it's the husband, I won't even entertain that, honestly. Just entertaining it. We could have a mini conversation or some shit, but,
it's stupid.
People that are saying that's just internet. Don't even shut up.
Yeah, it's really stupid. It's honestly, when you really look at the facts individually, and I laid it all out for you, you can go look it up yourself. Please fact check me. I'll put my sources in the show notes.
And she remembers doing that.
Yeah, she described it in her lawsuit.
Oh no.
Yeah, she knows she did it. So, I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear what
Me too.
What
I
the
actually
crime family thinks.
This one.
I feel like it's an important conversation to have in so many ways. I want to know if you disagree with Russ, if you disagree with me. And I want to know if you've ever experienced postpartum psychosis. I would find that really interesting to if you could describe it. And you can email me. I'm just really curious if someone has been through postpartum psychosis or depression. And if you're someone who has been through it and still agrees that she should go to prison versus a mental institution. I'm curious what your thoughts are, especially based on your life experience. I think all of us come to the table with different life experiences, and this case has brought up so many hard conversations, and that's why it's such a monumental case. There's so many facets, and there's so many things I didn't even include in my script that I wish I could have, but I knew that we weren't going to do multi-parts for this. We were just going to do a one-parter. So I didn't include everything, but I'm so curious where everybody stands. So hit us up. Let us know.
Let me know. Because sometimes Jess makes me feel like I'm the only one in the world that feels this way.
No, you're not. You're not the only one in the world that feels this way.
Certain crimes,
there are a lot of people
excusable.
who agree with you.
Certain ones, certain things could be a mistake. I ran over someone. I was on my phone. I wasn't looking. They're not evil. They're negligent. But you still deserve your penalty. Certain things are evil, and that's evil.
Interesting. Well, I disagree with you, but
I'm sorry about that.
We can disagree. I can think that she deserves to be in a mental hospital versus prison, but I still respect your opinion. I understand where your opinion is coming from, and I totally get why you feel the way you feel. I really do. But
are there any crimes that shouldn't be forgiven with leniency under mental health?
I really see your point, and I struggle with it. I'm not pretending like I'm just like over here la-di-da. This is definitely something I've gone back and forth on. I've gone back and forth a lot.
You can feel bad for her. You can.
I do. I feel bad for her.
But still, I feel bad that you went through this and you had to go through all this, but you have to suffer the consequences of these horrific actions.
Mm.
And I believe you feel bad for her. Doesn't matter.
I do feel bad for her.
Listen, I could be like, damn, that sucks. She went through all that. But once you cross that line.
I understand. It's an interesting case to talk to you about, too, honestly, because of the whole spinal cord injury piece of it. Because you do understand what she's physically dealing with every single day. And people who don't live with a spinal cord injury or know someone with a spinal cord injury don't know how difficult their life is.
Oh my God.
It's very hard. And
I don't tell anyone. It's crazy.
So it is interesting to hear your perspective and to still hear that you have no sympathy. Well, I don't know if you sympathize at this point. You might have sympathized prior to the crime with what she was going through.
Oh, I mean, listen, if she's going through all that, she's asking for help. Yes. Mm-hmm. At what point should have the dad? Now, me as the dad, I never would have. I'm thinking out loud. Mm-hmm. But can you stop her from seeing your children after she? Oh no, never mind. I mixed it up. When she said that she was having thoughts of killing her children, but as soon as she heard them, she reacted, which is crazy.
Yes, she didn't report those thoughts prior to the crime.
What other thoughts was she hearing? Did she listen to every thought she ever heard?
No, she said she had intrusive thoughts.
But why'd she listen to the worst one?
Because she wasn't in touch with reality. That's why.
Never excuse for killing children.
This was a long one. And I'm curious to hear what you think. And I really hope that everybody who listens to this really starts to consume true crime more responsibly, if you haven't already. If you're somebody who's fallen down this rabbit hole, just stop for a second and think. And just start educating yourself. And I need to educate myself too. Like, I could have easily fell down the husband did it rabbit hole. Me, of all people? Number one, I love a conspiracy theory.
Me too.
Number two, men annoy me and I love blaming them for things. Number three, I love when cops messed up. Okay. Number four, I love a wrongful conviction case. I love a twist. I could have easily fallen down that rabbit hole 1000%. And I considered it. I was really like, oh, this is interesting. And started listening to videos. And then I was like, no. Just Kevin Reddington alone, knowing how renowned he is, that he even has this defense, there's no way any of that was true.
Well, you got to look into it. You have to do your due diligence, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. You got to look into it. But I'm the first one who could have easily fell down that rabbit hole. And it's easy to do because of what I said. So just think through things a little better. Be responsible. And that's it. All right, everybody. Well, have a wonderful week. Go to clutchdefenseco.com and check out all of our Clutch products. We made this self-defense brand for you guys because, you need it.
You pulled the alarm. Let the police know where you're at. Let your family know where you're at.
Yep.
It's a good thing. Not expensive.
Not expensive.
Don't remember the price. But it's fair. Go check it out. If you're curious. And hit me up. Let me know how much it is. I forgot.
Check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod, Facebook at Wife of Crime, the Crime Family.
YouTube. These edits take long. Check me out on YouTube.
Russ has been working so hard on these edits. Give the man a view, please. Give him a view.
Listen, it's not going bad. It's going good, but jeez, give me some validation.
He works so hard. All right, have a wonderful week. Talk to you later.
Have the week you deserve. Nixon 5.
Bye.